They do not want to get jumped on. They want to appear after the engagement takes place. And look
Bingo.
at the kills.
Yep, and he didn't do, there you go, kills Adam along the way too. That's going to mean that only Adam and Debit are down, but that was plenty enough entry damage to do everything that he needed. Even though nap time has fallen, it's just Kai versus a few members here from NG Red, and they're once again going to be able to push away Cloud9. Like I said, in these last couple of matches, I expected to maybe see something that was ever so slightly counter-meta. Nothing crazy, like I said. I didn't think we were going to see anything that wasn't a normal Mercy. We're always going to see a Mercy. We're always going to see solid DPS, but I'm expecting just a different specialist comp at times.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Cloud9 break it out against MVS with that El Presidente.
Yeah.
You know, and I definitely think they're going to go. You can only use it really from a professional standpoint as someone that has scrimmed a decent amount on that point that they used it on, basically, the Village, Nepal. It doesn't work so well in others, but you never know. Once again, like we said, Cloud9 is definitely a great team, and I think they're going to feel confident here.
I was talking about Pro League yesterday, and you remember how the people in Pro League used to have the crazy-ass maps that you had to have specific weird strategies for and stuff like that? I want that here. I want there to be maps where you have to do things that are outside the solid, safe meta. So I think that's part of what made StarCraft 2 was interesting, or was a little less interesting. All right, so control point about to unlock here on Sanctum on Nepal, and not much of a difference between these two teams. I love Mingachu's choice of Junkrat,
He's going that fairly often now,
Yes.
And look how much he's charged already. He's almost got his ult, and the control point just unlocked, and they've taken the middle control. It's a really good setup by them so far.
And don't forget, on this map specifically, he can just fire grenades into that little room down there that everyone hides in, and on top of that, he can throw his mine on top of the point. Here comes a Riptire in. It gets blown up right at the end. He can also throw his left shift, his mine on top of the point, explode it, and throw people off too. So he's really good for Sanctum.
Yeah, I just think he's too squishy, but I mean, if they make it work, they make it work. He's going to get a good trap here against Kai. Kai's going to take damage, so he does boost his ult, but at the same time, getting him locked out 1 HP. Mingachu on 1 HP, and he gets this Mega, and that's got to feel really bad for Cloud9, seeing that guy walk away with 1 HP. They're trading player for player here, but Northern Gaming, they're not taking too much damage. They're doing really well. They just fell back, and they're still dealing out the damage. Reaver not getting too many frags here.
No, not really. I got to give a shout out here to Brett Expert. We haven't really seen him a lot. He's dancing in and out of all the corridors and keeping everyone perfectly full in health while making sure to keep his boost, or I'm sorry, his push on the edge to make sure that no one contests. Like, that's really clever.
Yeah, I mean, so far so good for Northern Gaming. They've definitely taken control. Pretty equal here, 30% versus 30%. The match heating up, and there's a lot of chaos thus far. Looks like it's going to go over once again to Northern Gaming, though. They won the battle, but they lost the point for a little bit. But they're still going to have it right here, and they definitely have an advantage. Mangachu low again, 20% HP, but he is on fire. He's going to charge that ult pretty quickly.
They have to break that damage, and they're just not right now.
You got to get on top of the Junkrat. He's such a fragile character.
Where's
no
the Tracer?
escape.
Where's anyone to dive it? Genji, someone. Like, we need something just to dive in, pick off Junkrat, go back, and then maybe annoy Soldier or something like that. But it's just crazy to me.
Or Reaper. They don't have much mobility besides the Monkey. The Monkey against Junkrat is not, it's not bad, but it's not ideal.
Northern Gaming's only on one tank as well, just Chance sitting on the Zarya at the moment, who does have Gravitron up now. So let's see if she decides to use her ult. On Cloud9 side, no ult available. There we go. There comes the ult in from Chance off to the side. Debit's already fallen. Surefour taking some damage as well. Adam does not have a res available, unfortunately.
Yeah, the composition for them, I feel like they're definitely missing something here. They're starting to get frags though, and this ult's not going to really do too much. Zarya being a great tank.
Zoned, I guess.
Yeah, he got pushed out, but not the end of the world. Kai still being up. This Junkrat, this is the main problem. Mingachu has just got consistent damage all over the team. Look at that, and he's uncontested. It's actually pulled here. Roadhog's going to take him out, and this is what they needed right here. 97% for Northern Gaming. They're going to lose the point. Cloud9 get back control, and they switched it up. Exactly what we're talking about. Now they have that mobility. Now they can threaten that Junkrat. Let's see if Northern Gaming can do the experience thing and switch it up. And look, they switched to Roadhog. They realized,
I was about to say, David switched over to Roadhog too.
Yeah. Very high-level switches. Both teams adapting perfectly.
And Mangachu, in response, went right over to Roadhog as well. Exactly. So he swapped off of that Junkrat as soon as they adjusted to it. And this is what you're going to start to see from the future of high-level Overwatch play. Wolf and Brett Expert getting killed right away. Surefour taking some damage, ease back, recovers her health, getting around the side.
Gets him.
Wow, nice job taking out Soldier there. May even get this. Lucio does have the pulse bomb available. Will she throw it in? Yes, she does. Yes, Roadhog.
It's almost like a lot of pro players, they actually sticky down a lot. They want to hit the ground. They want to hit at the feet of the player because it's a more consistent way to drop that pulse bomb. If you throw and you miss a throw, it's like throwing a baseball, right? If you miss hitting a pole, it's just going to keep going. But if you drop it at the foot of the pole, it's still going to be in the proximity. And that's the way you got to view it. You throw it closer to the ground, so no matter what, it's going to do at least a good amount of damage. And if you get that sticky, obviously, everybody wants to hear that click.
And oh my god, right? And you'll notice a lot of people will do that with any big AoEs that'll hit people's feet. Like Zarya, her right click, you'll consistently see it at people's feet.
Right there, he did not throw it at his feet, and he totally whiffed the ult.
Yep, absolutely. But Surefour was on fire there for a long time. That Tracer was really critical in getting Cloud9 back into this match. They're about at 99% for both. Overtime is kicked in right now. Tracer on the point. Chance is actually swapped over off of his initial Zarya.
Yeah, that's very surprising because he's not a DPS player, really. He's Zarya, and he usually plays, what, tank?
Yep.
Reinhardt, but he can frag. You're a guy that knows him from back in the day. He was known as an FPS player.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And Chance actually is showing us, I was about to say showing off his Tracer right there as soon as he gets hooked. Yeah.
If you get hooked as a Tracer, you know it's over.
It's done. It's absolutely done. So you have so little damage. And there we go. That's going to be map number 1 right there. I mean, I loved, and I think the focus of that for me was the amount of switches that came out on both sides. We talked about it before they ended up doing it, but as soon as Surefour swapped over that Tracer, on fire, going nuts.
Both teams looking to go El Presidente. This is very interesting. That last point, 99% versus 99%. And as you said, these teams, you know, they want that money. They need that money, and they're adapting and doing a great job so far. But this is going to be very interesting. Usually when you do El Presidente, it's one side doing it, the other side trying to dive in and, you know, assassinate him. But when both teams do it, they're going to just sit in these little nooks. Watch, both of them are going to get to the doorway. They're going to stop. The Reinhardt shield's going to go up, and you'll be like, oh shit, what do we do?
Yep, there it is, right there. So they're both attempting the same strategy. That's just what Huck was talking about right there.
They're just trading bullets, man.
The only difference between the two teams right now is a Genji. Wow, as Surefour actually gets knocked out right away, so a big advantage for Northern Gaming Red if they can go ahead and get on the point here. Only difference between these two teams right now is Wolf is on Genji and Reaver is on Soldier at the moment. Otherwise, counts are the same.
Yeah, as soon as they take out that enemy Bastion, C9 know they have to pull back and they have to adapt because once you have that advantage, once you have that ult boost, that consistent Bastion, you're never going to be able to break them. They actually pull off the Bastion. They're going to switch up the composition, but Bird already getting his ultimate. This Bastion's going to be so much damage going tank mode. Oh, the deflect by Surefour. What a play.
Or you just do that, of course, as you know that Genji can reflect damage back at his opponents, and he's coming in here and doing quite a bit of damage. 2 members down right now for Northern Gaming. Surefour continuing to roll through this team. He's got his ult available here in just a second if he wants it, but I don't think he'll even need it as all of NG Red goes down.
Surefour with the play. That is exactly what they needed. We were just la-di-da. Looks like this tank's going to do a lot of damage, and then, oh my gosh, he blew him up, and that won the team fight right there. Surefour, once again, going huge for his team. He has been, without a doubt, the MVP for C9.
Oh, absolutely. No question at all. Uses his ult to just go ahead and combo with the Zarya. Go through, kills 3, 4. Now 5. Can he get the 6th kill?
Gets the 6th, and now he's going to clean up even more. He could go, he's actually going to get stunned down here, but he's not done just yet. He's going to swipe right through all of them. The Bastion's going to pick him off.
So he ended up getting 7 kills there in a row within about 25 seconds before he went down. Pretty good highlight there from Surefour as he continues destroying his opponents. Northern Gaming Red, though, has moved over to the attack point. They've only got 16% on this, though, and they are falling at the moment, so they need to make a very, very quick push at this. Wolf has actually said, you know, that Genji thing sounds pretty good. I'm going to try this out.
Look good there. Whenever you get a small quarter like that, it's the dreams of Genjis, man. They dream about that stuff. You just slice through literally the whole team.
Yep, and because you're so mobile with your ult on 2 and you're constantly dashing, they can never exactly. They can never really effectively find you unless they have a stun
or a Bastion.
Or a Bastion.
And they don't have deflect. You don't deflect the Bastion, you're dead.
That's the most satisfying thing in the world. When they're full auto against you, you're just like, eat your own damage. All right, another Genji ult coming out here from Wolf. We'll see if he can do as much damage. Does a little bit there as Reaver, Adam, and Kai have already fallen. D.Va goes down as well. Cloud9 only has 2 members remaining here on the point. Northern Gaming Red has lost 3 of theirs at the same time. Nap time is down at the moment, so there's no res, but Adam does have one available for Cloud9 once he gets back up here.
Yeah, scrappy fight so far. Last map was 99 versus 99. This one so far 60-40. As we said, these two teams neck and neck. Of course, NG Red looking to be the new dog on the block. At the same time, Cloud9 trying to hold on to that top position that they always wanted and know that they deserved. It's going to be a tough match here.
It really is. And here was sure for another ult. Immediately gets Bread Expert. See if he can get someone else. Wolf goes down as well. He's going to try and get Mercy around the side.
Her. Mercy's running for the life, gets a res off, but he's still low. Look at this Mercy play. This is great dodging. Yeah. Oh my.
Absolutely. Still alive, by the way. Still alive. And a sound barrier goes off as well.
He barely died.
Nap time, but not before he got off the res, not before he distracted Surefour for about a minute and a half. Like, that was great. Kai goes down there as Bird did pop his ult, and it looks like we're going to have a retake here for NG Red as it's 94% to 50.
Naptime loves that song, too. Fly like an eagle. That's literally what he's doing. He's just flying back and forth.
He really is. I mean, like, you have to have that mobility, too. I'm always so frustrated when Mercy's try to just, like, purely sit back. Like, you have to know when to extend and get around corners. Exactly.
You're running the risk of dying, but he played that perfect. That was amazing Mercy mechanics.
Okay, it looks like, very fully charged Mangachu coming through and obliterating Adam. Really good take here from Northern Gaming Red up to this point. Kai taking damage, too. Mangachu looking great on the Zarya.
Mangachu's the DPS, man. He doesn't even matter if he's playing a tank. Zarya, look at this, fully charged, 100%. You see that green dot, and they're just running for their lives. Chance actually getting that jump on Surefour, and now look at the point, 94% to 91. NG have to get back. I mean, this is what they need. They need that momentum. Whoever wins this first map is going to have a huge advantage. Zarya ult blowing them up. Counter ults coming both ways. Surefour not able to get on the point, though.
Perfect. Like, and you saw Zarya there consistently just trying to charge as fast as possible because she knew that ult was just about to come up, and all she had to do was hold for 2 more seconds, and the point was going to be over. Great heads-up play there from Mangachu. Really carried that for his team there at the end.
99 versus 99. Second point, 94 versus 99. These teams cannot be more even.
And it looks like we're going to move on to the third map on Nepal here. And teams currently coming out. Northern Gaming Red is going to be on Tracer, Mercy, Winston. Sorry, that Tracer just became a Genji. Mercy, Winston, Soldier, Pharah, and Lucio on the Cloud9 side. We have Reaper, Lucio, Winston, Tracer, Mercy, and Zarya. So different comps.
I'm excited to see Reaper on this Tracer. He's definitely a great hit scam player. I feel like it's one of his strongest characters. Just not used, not on King of the Hill maps, and a lot of King of the Hill maps it's not even useful, but so far Mangachu doing consistent damage. That is the story of Mangachu. He might be not, you know, a top fragger, but at the same time, look how consistent his damage is. Just rocket after rocket right in the middle of the group.
And that's the story of Pharah right now in the meta, right? Like, if you just don't watch her, she's just constantly doing little bits of damage all the time to your team. And a great engagement there from Cloud9 as they just move in and pop 3 members of Northern Gaming Red, including Naptime, so no threat of any sort of a res this time. Reaver comes up and just obliterates the opponents there. Yeah, and that was playing a pretty good Tracer.
That was a great job by Tibet too, man. He created the perfect space. He had the right timing. The team went in as one, and that Winston creates so much area. You could see that Mangachu was pushed right back, and then the Tracer, Reaver, being able to go in there and clean up. It's a great job. But we got the ult here, charge for Bird. He's being damage boosted. They're going to have to go in as 6. You cannot go in one at a time, and they're going to damage boost in here. But this Reaper causing so much havoc.
I think Mangachu was right to swap back over to Reaver. His Tac Visor is popped here and does nothing, unfortunately. We're going to follow Wolf here for a second as he finishes off Kai trying to get Surefour off to the side. Mad Monkey comes through, and Devitt finishes off the kill. Here comes in Death Blossom for Surefour. Ends up getting 1 kill there, not too much else apart from that. Finishes off Chance to the side there with his shotguns, and it looks like Cloud9 is going to retain the point.
Yeah, and this is just the experience and shining through. They can even stagger this Zarya a little bit. They end up taking him off, but that's an extra, 10, 15 seconds. Does they trade out? That's good enough. At that point, then it's okay. We can fight 5v5. They know they can go into the point. They know they can get an even battle here, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They're sensing weakness. They're going to push him off the point. We have so far 60% for Cloud9, but it looks like Northern Gaming is going to get the point, and they just started the clock for themselves.
Chance with a great Winston leap there. He actually hit 3 people with it, immediately threw down his bubble, and that just forced Cloud9 away. They didn't have the group there to make a counter push, and that allowed for the cap for Northern Gaming. So good stuff. We'll see how long they can hold this. Sound barrier comes out for Northern Gaming. Only hits a couple of members, though. Zarya ult going to hit at the same time. Tac Visor coming in from Bird. He continues to unload the damage, taking out 3 members. Here comes the res in from Adam off the side. Everyone back up for Cloud9 at the moment.
Yeah, he dodged that pulse bomb really well, but now it looks like they're going to be in a lot of trouble. This Reaper is just doing so much damage, and the counter all coming out. Surefour makes it out. He shifts through. He's being healed up. I don't know if he wants to take this battle with Zarya, though. It's an even battle at that. He's Zarya says, you know what? I know my team's losing this battle. time to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I love that, man. That is so cute. You're just like, from a pub standard, you're like, that. Why would you do that? But from a competitive standpoint, it's like, smart call, man.
You get it. You need to gather a team. You don't need to waste time. You need to make sure you get back as soon as possible.
Someone on comms is like, reset, man. We got to reset, and you just know.
Exactly.
My time here is done. Oh, my, that's great. Oh, and that just starts it off. You know you're going to be completely reset again. That battle is lost, yes.
Oh, that was a 5-kill there. I'm sorry, the 7-kill from Genji may actually end up beating that from Sure4 before, but he has had 2 massive ults in this game up to this point.
And this is the experience that Cloud9 has. They know they were at 86%, win 2 more team battles and you're through, and you're like, you know what, we'll blow an ult, we'll take 10%, and that's exactly what they do. And now they're just forcing NG to die for the point, and you're never, ever going to get it like that. Maybe you can reset it for OT, but the first map win going for Cloud9 here.
Yeah, I mean, a pretty good win from them, too. I think they certainly needed that after the past couple of days, even at the Onog Invitational last night, and then into this morning's matches. And this is indeed going to be, let's count them up here with this one. So what do we got? So this is the first one. The Zarya ult's there. He gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gets the...
That's a 6. Yeah, he probably gets 6 on the gold. We don't see it on the kill screen, not final touches, but yeah.
Right.
6, 7 kills there, solid number. I mean, that's it, man. You get him in the corridor, that's the dream. And I like you said, C9 coming into this, they definitely needed that mental reset where you say, you know what, we are a top team.
Yeah.
We're gonna prove it here. And I think that sets the tempo. I think like this is C9's game round, whatever. They're going to get 3rd place. I still think it's going to be pretty close. We saw that in this matchup.
Exactly, and I think we've already answered whether or not, you know, our question was, after this tournament, can we consider Northern Gaming one of those top 5 or 6 teams? I think yes. I think that they're in that conversation
They can hang with the big boys, for sure. And it looks like we're going to go maybe to Kings Row. Maybe? I'm not sure yet. But Kings Row being like the old... You know, everybody loves this map. Everybody's been playing it for a long time. It's starting to fall out of the meta a little bit, but at the same time, this is the map most players have played, basically.
Yeah, that's true. And I can't say I'm disappointed to see it fall out of the meta because if you've been watching competitive Overwatch for a while, you've seen it 400,000 times.
Yes.
I've been happier to see some of these maps like Nepal actually pop up. That was actually a good example of why it's my favorite map. I understand that some of the pros tend to shy away from the maps that are more clustery, I guess is probably the best word for it at this point.
I'm just excited for Payload. We've had King of the Hill, I think, 3 rounds now. And I love King of the Hill. It's just usually we see more Payload. So
King of the Hill is actually my favorite class of maps.
I like Payload.
I like them.
I think Payload is like there's just so much more strategy. King of the Hill, it's like, all right, let's group up, let's run in, let's count ults, but that like positioning, high ground, all those different mechanics.
Let me take it back. Considering that 85% of my games have been with pubs up to this point, King of the Hill is amazing. But you're right. No, honest to God, when you're in a well-coordinated group that actually wants to take it seriously. Last night I played like 4.5 hours of try-hard comps with my brother. We were running double support, double DPS, double tank all night. Mercy, Lucio. Catherine got like, I don't know, 12 epics as Mercy in 12 games in a row. It was beautiful. So this is awesome. That's
going to be the beauty of rank. When rank comes out, people are going to actually care and they're going to actually want to try.
I can't wait.
But it's going to still get bad because you're going to run into the situation where like I'm a DPS main and you already got 2 DPS and then you're like you run into those guys like, are you going to adapt? Is someone going to? Hey, advice for everybody. The most important thing for anybody that's looking to rank up and do well is just to communicate and not be toxic and adapt.
Yes.
The nicer you are, the more you adapt. And you're like, hey, man, all right, I main DPS, but if you want to play, sure, I'll back off, do whatever.
Learn how to play one meta character at least in each category. So that way, if you have a sticky situation where you have the asshole who just won't get off of Widow and the jerk who's going to play Genji no matter what, you don't need to throw in a random Hanzo. You can actually get in there and play something like Reinhardt or Mercy or whatever.
Whatever the team needs, man.
Exactly.
I'm a filler, man. If I'm looking to rank up, I am your guy. I will do anything. I'm playing CS:GO, man. I'll buy the nades.
Yep.
I'll buy the flashes. I'll be that support player.
You're a good man, yeah.
Doesn't matter. No, I can get toxic too. It just depends.
In this game, it's not been too bad so far. I have to admit, I've been okay in this game so far. That also may have to do with the fact that I've disabled all possible communication with my pub teammates.
Dude, I love it. It makes me happy. Well, yeah, it makes me. I'm entertained when people get ragey. That's the best. That is the best.
When people rage at you, that's the best compliment in the game. When someone's like, "Turn off your aimbot, dude," you're like, "I know I played pretty well there." All right. So we're going to be moving into game number 2 here in just a second. Like we mentioned, it's Kings Row. It's going to be NG Red versus Cloud9 here. Cloud9 took game 1 on Nepal pretty convincingly, and it looks like our team is just about to get going here. NG Red is going to be on the defense first, and they have a pretty typical composition at this point. For their supports, they have Mercy and Lucio. Their tanks are Reinhardt and Roadhog, and their DPS are Soldier and Reaper. On the Cloud9 side, though, we'll see what they go for because they're still going to be switching some players. I would not expect Reaver or Debit or Grego or Adam to switch at this point. They're all on their mains. It's just going to be a question of what off-tank, what other DPS we get here.
Yeah, C9, this is also an interesting thing. They always use the same spray, the teabag spray.
I know, right?
I've always, I've watched their games, I've watched some of their scrims, I've played against them in pub games. They're all about, all of it use that same spray.
I actually put some time into my sprays. I actually picked the right one. Yeah.
There's a meta at the highest level between pros about the sprays.
What's the best spray in the game?
Right now, a lot of people are digging the Winston peanut butter one, where he's holding the peanut butter jar.
I actually am using that one right now. My favorite by far, no question, because it is the best one, is the free naked Roadhog. It's the free pig, the one where he's the super cute naked pig with the Roadhog mask on. It's the best one.
That was the original. The animated cute ones were the best. I like the pink retarded one. The more retarded it looks, the better it is. I think it tilts my opponents a little bit more.
A good old-fashioned Hearthstone sorry goes a long way, too. I do like that one.
I'll give the quotes are great.
The quotes are great.
The noose. The noose is the worst right now.
That's true, yeah. All right, hey, there's a game going on. So, Northern Gaming is defending at the moment. First attack coming through for Cloud9, and Surefour actually got picked apart immediately. Yeah. Mangachu grabbing him, gets the kill, and already has 67% towards that whole hog as Debit gets blown up. Kai getting knocked away at the side, too. So Cloud9 coming in a little bit staggered.
Nice little battle here. At this point, Reaver, you just need to die. You're getting cornered. Yep. They're just staggering you. It looks like a nice.
He was trying to wait for Surefour there.
There's a lot of duels. We see the bet taking on Mangachu, Roadhog versus Roadhog. There's a lot of lining up here, and it looks like Cloud9 starting to get the better of it.
I was kind of surprised. I was going to say I didn't like that necessarily. They just need to group up, stop filtering in one at a time. Looks like we have an ult coming out from Adam, so everyone from Cloud9 is up. Reaver actually dishing out some pretty good damage. Looks like he's pinned in. Mercy here off to the side. Naptime and Bird both fall. Whole hog coming in off to the side, and that's going to be enough for Cloud9 to, it looks like, take this point outright.
Yeah, Northern Gaming just didn't do a good job there. As the attacking team, you love to have a one-on-one duel, even if you're a slight mismatch. You know, certain characters playing against another character, you're going to be benefited, or you're gonna have a slight disadvantage. But overall, even if you're running a 40-60 percentage chance of winning a duel, you want those duels, you want that variance, and Northern Gaming getting spread out here.
All right, well, we saw an ult come in from Reinhardt off to the side there as Chance gets a little bit of damage in, but they're only able to grab Adam, which I guess is fine. We're not going to see another ult over the course of this, but Northern Gaming wasn't able to get too much done with that as Naptime and Chance have fallen for them. Yeah,
Wolf's great on this Reaper, man. He's just such a great player. I'm glad he showed up eventually, but it's all good, man. At this point, they're doing a decent job. We saw them on that King of the Hill going 99-99 twice, and then about 90-40, 90-60. So they definitely have a great shot here. They got to pull it together, though. Losing that first point so quickly is definitely not what you want at the start of this.
No, I mean, and it's weird because this map this weekend has been a tale of either taking the points within your first push, as we see a bunch of ults here. I'll talk about it in a second. As Sound Barrier comes out for both sides, actually, Mangachu taking a ton of damage, but gets healed up very quickly by Naptime, who recharges his ult. Both Mercies have an ult available going into this fight. There is a bit of a wombo combo available for Cloud9 if they can get the Zarya plus the Barrage off at the same time.
Yeah, it's just, at the end of the day, Cloud9 is playing a lot more conservative. They're holding their ults, they know when to use them, and they're reacting to the pace that Northern Gaming are setting. And I think that's the most important factor. They have similar ults, but at the end of the day, Northern Gaming are blowing theirs. They're blowing the Lucio ults, they're holding back, and then Cloud9, they're just like, all right, we're going to take a step back. We're going to extend this fight, make it, a minute and a half, and then they're just using when they need to. Where on the other hand, Northern Gaming are getting a little too excited, and they're just pulling the trigger too quickly.
Yeah, it's weird, too, because Cloud9 was the one who seemed like they were doing that first. With their kind of just running in and dueling and stuff like that. Maybe they're just throwing off the pace of
If you're confident, if you're not confident, you stick to your plan. And so far, Cloud9 are showing that they're very confident playing against Northern Gaming.
Surefour has a Genji ult ready, too. But
nice
he gets hooked.
That was a sick hook. The freaking throwaway, man.
Yeah, no kidding. That was pretty awesome. That was some, yeah, exactly. That was the turnaround fadeaway jumper from MJ from the free throw line there right at the end. I loved it. So what I was going to say before, though, a couple of fights ago, is that the story of this map has been how quickly do you take the first attack point? Because people have been able to either take it in 30 seconds or like it takes the full 5 minutes.
Yeah,
there's almost been no in-between here in these matches this weekend.
Yeah, they're going to push in here. Cloud9 getting a lot of room. Look how chaotic this battle is. I think Drop the Beat's going to pretty much clean this up.
Yeah.
There's just so much added health, and you can see that as soon as it gets dropped, Cloud9 are like, all right, we're out of here.
Adam could res. He misses Kai though. He only gets Reaver, who has to bounce away immediately and does a little bit of damage. So, unfortunately, that res isn't going to get him that much. They have to charge up another one here for the next engagement.
Yeah, but they have an advantage so far. They have 2 ults so far.
True.
D.Va blowing his, actually being very aggressive here. And this Bear's going to get in the back line. He's going to get 3-4 kills. Mangachu actually showing up once again. He's so good on this Roadhog. He's definitely carrying his team so far, but they're just getting pushed back.
And Sure4 was another ult there. We only caught the end of it, but obviously he was able to take out Mangachu, and it looks like Chance is trying to get away, but he's not going to make it.
He's basically fighting 4v1 on the payload, just buying time for his team, and now his team have to fight without a Reinhardt, though. They have no shield, they have no meaty characters, and they're getting picked out.
Yeah, they really are. This is not good for them. Mangachu lands the hook, but can't even finish off Sure4. He does actually end up dying to Bird off to the side for the tactical visor. Bird gets a little bit done there with a couple of kills. Adam immediately uses a res, and we have 3 ults up here on the side of Cloud9, but there's a Zarya ult and the sound barrier at the same time. A die. Death Blossom comes in from Wolf, doesn't actually clear anyone up. 2 members now down for NG Red. No one has died for Cloud9. Finally, Debit and Sure4 fall.
Yeah, they're pushing the payload still. They're still on point. They have to constantly contest this, but it's a scrappy fight. Drop the Beat's pretty much going to secure the point for now, and Cloud9 know they have to back off.
Yeah, but I mean, a full, kill from Reaver after the sound barrier. Even with Whole Hog, he decides to use his barrage. Mangachu ends up dying there, not before he ends up taking out Reaver and Adam off to the side, so there's no rest for Adam and the rest of Cloud9 at the moment. It looks like they're going to fall back and regroup. Yeah,
they finally fall back. Man.
Sure.
That was like 2 or 3 minutes of constant action.
It really was.
That really favors Cloud9. The attacking team, they have an opportunity at any point to get that payload rolling. And of course, it did go on Northern Gaming side at the end there, but look how much room they got. Look how much time they actually got to push the payload. And one bad fight, one more kill, and they would have been totally out.
And Bird went down. He had to respawn normally. Naptime did not have a rest available. Devin actually falls, and Sure4 coming around the back here, trying to get some damage in. Uses his left shift to escape just a little bit. Reaper's still going to be alive. Devin falls off to the side again, and Naptime has his ult up if he wants to try and get Red Expert and Bird back into this fight.
Yeah, Mangachu doing a great job making that switch actually to McCree. Gets the res off, but now the Zarya ult's countering. I just don't think they have the damage. That was kind of a waste, to be honest.
I completely agree. They didn't have any ults to combo with that, and Zarya can basically manage killing everyone inside of her ult by herself if she's reasonably charged and she gets some good AoEs on them and stuff like that, but with no damage to back it up, and the fact that when you bring in a Reinhardt, you know they're going to shield, and that automatically mitigates so much your damage.
Yeah, and it's just the great switches here. I think Mangachu's really calling out, knowing what he needs on his team, and this McCree's done so far great damage. They know that Fair is the main threat. Having Reaver in the sky uncontested is a big problem, and they didn't really have that gap closer with the Reaper. Soldier can kind of counter it, but this McCree, as you can see, can just lay down bullets.
Yeah, definitely. And he's going to go into high noon here for a second. Everyone from Cloud9 is running off to the side. And I love that, too. You see this so often from McCree's. Like, they don't even necessarily care about getting a kill. They literally just wanted to zone the entire team back.
Exactly. And it looks like he's going to drop in. Look how quickly Mangachu can take him down. He stuns Sure4 even. He takes out almost 2 characters by himself. And he already gets the ult again and actually blows up huge. Gets 2 more. Mangachu showing up huge in the second round.
So as you probably saw, but if you didn't know, if you use your high noon but it doesn't go off, it stops at 50%.
Yes.
So you'll still have 50% charge, which means that if you're a good McCree, a couple of headshots, maybe a good fan the hammer kill, you can get that right back up to full in just about a minute or less later.
And you buy your team some seconds, you know, they basically can't push into you while that high noon is going. So it's a huge spacer.
All right, so McCree still certainly has his uses even after the nerf. But as you saw there, he had a good flashbang fan the hammer on Reaper. Didn't kill him.
Yeah.
Wolf
love it.
Still
love
alive
the change.
Yeah.
I love the fact it does not kill.
Yes, I'm so happy.
Yes,
like I said, as a Reaper main, I'm in heaven, dude. Okay, so Tac Visor is up for Bird alongside the res for nap time. Another high noon is going to be here for Mangachu in just a second. On Cloud9 side, they do have the ability to use an Earth Shatter plus Zarya ult here in just a bit.
Drop the beat too. Drop the beats coming in. They're going to get real aggressive here. Reaver's over top. Zarya's ult's popped, and he pulled the res a little too soon. They're going to get pulled into that Zarya ult. Might be possibly can break them, but Bird, consistent damage, but it's still all red all day, sure for with that Death Blossom being up close after the players were rezzed. Looks like they're going to push for the distance. They might try to cheese him. D.Va's coming out. They want to push him off the payload. Tracer as well. The mobility they need on the payload. They're just buying time. 1:21 left. I almost for sure believe Cloud9 are going to get this, but they actually dropped the beat. They could push them up. A great boop. That was an amazing boop by Red Expert, pushing off Surefor, the star player from C9, and he falls right off the ledge.
And Adam didn't even need to use his res in the first half of that fight there. He's only had to use it right now to get his team back into things. So Reaver's still alive, Devitt's still alive. Adam now just respawned. He's going to be coming back into the fight here relatively soon. Nap time on this Tracer, even though it was a bit of a cheese to get back on the point and push people off, he's actually been doing pretty well, I have to say.
The support player coming in and just fragging with Tracer, that is amazing. He might actually go switch. That's gotta feel bad. You get the ult, you're doing well as Tracer, your team's like, hey, we need a support.
I know.
And he's
you better
like,
go get a res ready for this next fight.
I just want to get a pulse bomb off, man. That's what I want. He actually switches to Mercy and starts with 0%. That's actually surprising. With 30 seconds left, I think
he could have suicided.
Yes, I think a pulse bomb on that Tracer is a lot better than switching back to Mercy and maybe not getting resurrected in time.
I completely agree with you, because if he can even just dive in and kill 2 people, he delays the push.
And then you can switch.
Exactly.
I completely agree with you.
Okay, all right, so Cloud9 drops the beat there as Drago uses his ults. Surefor is stunned out of his Death Blossom immediately, so he can't get much damage down there. Nap time has already fallen, though. Couldn't get that ult. Chance has gone down at the same time. Sound Barrier comes out from Northern Gaming Red, but it still hasn't stopped anyone from Cloud9. Drago finally dies, but they're continuing to push in here. Here comes the barrage from Reaver. It looks like he gets everyone else, and
they're gonna get it.
Finally, in overtime, is gonna be a win for Cloud9.
And we literally have to look at that switch at the last second. You had a Tracer, you had Pulse Bomb. He didn't get another Resurrect up. Stay on the Tracer. Yeah,
I completely agree with you. Because like we were saying, you don't need to use it for that fight. You're freaking Tracer. Just dive out there, use all your boosts, beat them outside, and go stick one person.
Here was the res came too soon. It was still in the Zarya ult, and you can see the cleanup. 4 kills just for the Death Blossom, and then the melee at the end just to end Mangachu.
Okay, so what started, I mean, don't forget, that whole map started with Cloud9 crushing the first 2/3 to 3/4 of it. I mean, crushing. They got through in about 2.5 minutes, got right to the end, and Northern Gaming actually held that last point for about 7 minutes. So not bad from them. If they're going to win this, they have more than enough time to make a good attack push.
No, they had a very good hold. I mean, the only huge fault that we saw was, and especially as a guy that plays Tracer a lot, you have that Pulse Bomb. I mean, it's 30 seconds left.
Exactly.
You're not going to get another res. Right. It's just realistically, you're going to probably at least take out 1 or 2 members.
And think about the amount of time it just takes, even as Tracer, to walk back and actually activate the Mercy and walk back out. 6-7 seconds. So if you use 2 or 3 of those to go dive out and die, you're maybe looking at a 5 or 6 second difference between the switch and where it was, and you have the Pulse Bomb on top of it. So
it's a tough call. I see the reasoning with the Mercy. You're saying we need that support, but at the same time, I think he was doing well too. It was he was like we always talk about players having momentum, having those tempos, feeling themselves. He was fragging. He was as a support player, he was playing Tracer and he was doing really good. I mean, he basically traded out the Tracer. He was up for maybe 30 seconds and he got Pulse Bomb.
Yeah, he got a 3 kill off it right away.
He was doing really well. Why not like ride that train, man? Sometimes you just got to let a player go.
I agree with that. And I think that's something that we're going to start seeing from higher level teams eventually. Because obviously, don't forget, we've reiterated this a lot throughout this cast this weekend. This is a new game. The metas are not set. The strategies are not set. They're becoming more firm. We're starting to get a better idea as we explore the maps and comps. Nothing is set in stone yet, though.
I wonder if that's, like support players usually, and I know this is a gross generalization, but maybe they're more submissive. So like he's sitting there, he's on the Tracer. He probably wants to keep playing Tracer. Maybe his team's like calling out, like switch to Mercy.
And so he just decides to do it.
Do I for me? I'm a cocky guy, so I'd be like, no, I'm gonna put the team on my back and I'm gonna carry this to the end. Right? We're gonna stop him right here with this Pulse Bomb. But if you're not that type of guy, you're gonna be like, okay,
I know. I guess
I'll go do it.
I'm not team captain. All right, I'll do it. I'll follow orders. No, I know what you mean. I want to point out here that Cloud9 on defense is not sporting a Roadhog like we saw from Northern Gaming Red last time. They're actually opting for a Winston, but apart from that, pretty similar comps. On Northern Gaming side, Wolf is actually on that Widowmaker, first sniper we've seen yet.
They need that pick. If they can get that pick, they can push in, but the problem with the Widow is, look, they're hiding. They're playing those line of sights. They're not peeking at all. Maybe the Winston, because he's huge, but all in all, they got to get a pick, and that Widow's going to have to get in there eventually. Look at this Winston, doing a great job, zoning out the Widow, dropping that bubble, knowing that his team has to get in there. He's just not getting the damage, and it's not because he's not hitting shots. There's just no shots to be had.
And like we mentioned before, Northern Gaming Red did not successfully defend on the last map. However, they did defend for about 10.5 minutes, which means that Northern Gaming Red either has to complete this in under 10.5 minutes. Whoa! Devin just obliterates Mangachu and Wolf there. All right, so they have to complete this in 10.5 minutes. If they're going to complete it, it's probably going to be in that time. But if they get stopped at any point, that's going to be another map win for Cloud9.
This is so Cloud9 too. You see how aggressive they are? They are a cocky team. All in all, they are just a cocky team.
Sure.
And that's how they play it. Like, they get 1 or 2 kills, and they just go nuts. They turn it up. Like, all their players just want to push. They want to be aggressive after they get those picks. So I think they're going to do a great job holding. Look at this. Nap time going down really quickly against Reaver. Reaver really showing it on Pharah this whole tournament. When he's on that character, he gets hits, direct hits, with so many characters.
I will say, though, yes, Reaver has had like 2 or 3 matches where he's been untouchable. He has had a couple of periods where it seems like he disappears for a couple minutes at a time. He's been consistent throughout the whole time. He's actually been one of the best players on Cloud9. I don't want to take anything away from him, but hopefully this is one of those rounds where he's going to have that consistency.
Yeah, I hope so, too. On Pharah, I think he's definitely picking it up as a player.
Yes.
Ooh, good hook here on this Winston, but they're going to drop the beat. Great ult by the Lucio, knowing that his team's going to push in, knowing that he can save one of his heroes. And it looks like Chance is going to show up. He gets a kill on Grego. This is going to be kind of rough for Cloud9 here.
And whole hog here for NG Red. They're going to move in. A good Earth Shatter in response. Right from Debit, though, to go ahead and shut down that whole hog. Surefour ends up getting eliminated off to the side right away, so NG Red has a 6v5. Adam does not have the res up at the moment, and with the sound barrier down, they have a good health advantage here trying to take the point.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be able to set up on the point, maybe get a tick, maybe 2. They could get the whole thing, but it's still pretty scrappy here. Cloud9 bleeding out, though. They're going in 1 at a time. This is going to create a lot of zone. You see that monkey, that Abe going nuts. He is just smacking players off the point, buying time. They know they said, you know, they finished the point, so as long as they can stop Northern Gaming, eventually they will win this round.
And Northern Gaming is going to take this point a little bit. Okay, pretty good ult there to zone and kill a couple of people from Wolf. They are going to take this point, but this was about a minute and a half slower than Cloud9 did. So the point where Cloud9 was held was all the way at the very end of the map. Don't forget, Cloud9 got through this first part very easy and then lost it afterwards. Northern Gaming Red, on the other hand, I saw them yesterday in a couple of matches actually do pretty decent at the payload portion of this map. So
yeah, attacking, I think they're a lot better than at defending, but all in all, they did great at defending. So not too much to complain about so far. I just want to say a big shout out to Bird as well. Bird fragging. Yeah, he is doing really well with Northern Gaming.
The coolest thing that Bird's been doing, though, is that he hasn't necessarily gotten the most eliminations or final blows or anything like that. He has been a king of sustained damage, though. He's always laying out fire. He's always reloading his clip because his bullets have already gone to his opponents. Okay, so Mangachu actually goes down off the side. Yeah, pretty good stuff there, as Northern Gaming Red is forced to use their ult from nap time. They have Tac Visor available, but it looks like they get knocked down right away. Here comes the barrage, following the Earth Shatter. 2 kills, 3 kills immediately, and just 3 more members remaining here for NG Red.
Yeah, what's important playing these alleys is you want your opponents to push at least halfway through, and you want to play those corners. But on top of that, you have a contention point at the very end. You want your opponents to get a little bit distant, have their reinforcements be a little bit longer, force them to walk. It's not a problem to stop the payload there, or even stop it right before they get that checkpoint, because that means every push that they do, every time they have to reset, it takes that much longer. They're that much more in the open, walking down these alleyways, and you can get the high ground, you can flank, you have a lot of opportunities the further they go.
Did you, I mean, and you saw it just then when they were chasing down characters. Remember when we were on Nepal and we were talking about the fact that Zarya just sat there and died, you know, intentionally to res? That was why. As Chance goes down here after the Earth Shatter coming in, and unfortunately Brett Expert's going to fall right after that, so another good defense from Cloud9. But we just saw it right there. They just wasted like 15 seconds chasing down characters, losing characters, and all that time they can't regroup and push again. It would actually have been more beneficial to just have them all die within 2 seconds, regroup the team, and go.
Yes, I completely agree. Northern Gaming need to decide what they're going to do. Honestly, it wasn't that bad for them. I saw Cloud9 overuse ults. They used 2 or 3 ults there when they didn't need to. And that's a huge complaint I have of Cloud9 as, you know, a coaching perspective, is that sometimes they're too aggressive, sometimes they overextend, and sometimes they blow too many ults because they're an aggressive, cocky team. And on the other side, Northern Gaming, they could have just said, all right, wipe us. Waste 2 or 3 ults. We're going to come back and we're going to fight on even terms. But instead, they dragged it out. They tried to survive. Naptime tried to get in there, tried to get a res. just not worth it. It's all or nothing, folks.
In this game, you have to have such a different mindset than the vast majority of FPS
Yes.
games. And so many of these people come from games where your primary statistic is frags. Like,
yes.
so you have this mindset of, it doesn't matter if I'm 1v5 right now, maybe I can make this comeback and I can help you. That's what you've been trained to do your whole life. So now when you have to think more strategically and think, no, it's actually appropriate for me to die here, that's a difficult thing.
And that's why Overwatch is great. There's so many different things you can play. It looks like they're getting a little room here. You can see the payload getting closer and closer to that checkpoint. But if you don't break them, it's all for nothing. You're going to have to walk 2 miles to get back there. They got about, I would say, 4 minutes left to complete the map, but more importantly, they got 2 minutes to get this checkpoint. We can see the fight unravel. Wolf once again on that Reaper, fragging 3 kills in a row, and we can see Mangachu just chasing down this tank. He's gonna get Earth Shattered down. Is he gonna get picked off? He gets swing twice, but he gets the great heal by Naptime staying behind him, and it looks like they might get this checkpoint.
Yeah, I mean, with the res there from Naptime, brought 2 more people back up, and Mangachu and Bread Expert just get obliterated there. Reaver goes down in return.
They're trying to hold.
I don't know if they can, though. Soldier alone
Look at
can't do this. He's trying.
He's dodging.
Oh,
he's
and a sound barrier went down, so they're actually going to do this maybe.
They want to hold right at the end because they know those walk paths are so long. Naptime running for his life, but C9's going to get here. They're going to hold at this final checkpoint, and it's getting really rough. That walk path is so long. And look, they're staggered. They're going to lose 2 members here. They got 2 more coming up.
10 seconds.
They got a minute to get this together. Look how you keep bleeding out members.
Yep, exactly. So now 2 people down for Northern Gaming Red. They're just respawning at the moment. They've got to run back out. So again, another 30, 40 seconds wasted as a team.
They got 1 push. I think they have 1 push left.
I agree.
They've been bleeding out there. This is not the experienced team that I was looking for in Northern Gaming.
Okay, well, here's a sound barrier coming in from NGR right now. Nothing is going to be available for Cloud9 at the moment other than Attack Visor and a res. Here comes Attack Visor, 3 people down for Cloud9, 4 people down. That's a 4-person res for Adam. He pays for it with his life, of course. Chance is going to fall on NG Red side. Shurtford goes down for Cloud9. 2 people now, 3 people down for Cloud9. Pretty even fight going both sides. Naptime needs a res here in just a second.
That was a great ult by Wolf. I think they're going to get it. They're going to get this checkpoint. I don't know. They don't have much time, though.
No, they've got basically the amount of time that you see left in the match right now. They've got about that 2 minutes and 12 seconds, something like that. 2:20. So there's actually, they have 10 seconds.
A little OT
10 seconds of OT to get this.
This is down to the wire, and they need this win. They need it desperately. They're already down 1 game against Cloud9, and
going down 2-0, especially this close. Especially this close. Yeah, right.
That hook.
That was through 2 doorways. That's pretty cool.
My.
Okay, so let's look at Mercy ults. Adam and Naptime are about the same right now. They're going to be able to charge this up. Earth Shatter actually comes in from the side from Chance. I don't think they can do anything with it, though. So it's going to be a long time before Reinhardt's ult is back up for Northern Gaming Red.
Yeah, down to the wire here. This is the nitty-gritty of the tournament. Mangachu, the Pharah versus Pharah battle. I'm telling you, man, it's hard to hit a Pharah. You should just focus on the tanks that are on the ground. They're going to drop many ultimates. Both teams drop the B. You can see Mangachu hating the Mercy. He gets them. And I don't know. This is like very chaotic.
That was 4 people down for Cloud9. There's 5 people still up for Northern Gaming Red. Now 2 people go down for them, but Naptime does get off his res at exactly the same time. There's only about a minute remaining. 2, 1, 0. They get it, and Northern Gaming Red comes back and ties it up 1-1.
Man, that is what they needed. That was what they needed to get back into this series. 1-1 against Cloud9.
That was an excellent last attack, by the way.
Yes.
That was an excellent last attack. This 4-man res is probably going to be the play of the game here for Rez, I assume, or for Adam, I assume. And there it is. Yep, 4-man res.
That was a great res, too.
Yeah,
that was a great res. They almost held right here. Or they almost held again right there. And if they would have held there, they would have won the round, and they would have been up 2-0. All in all, both teams played great. I mean, this was the question. You know, this round is very important, and we would love to see either team get 3rd or 4th. But at the same time, this is a more important moment for Northern Gaming.
Absolutely. I mean, let's be honest here. Not only have they been doing better lately, we can't ignore the fact that they had a forfeit earlier in the day. They had a forfeit because they weren't here. Exactly. And if they're playing this well against Cloud9, we know that Cloud9 is as good, if not even maybe a little bit better. We've talked about this at this point than Luminosity. We see that would have been a competitive set too.
Oof, that's heartbreaking.
It is.
That is heartbreaking. But at the same time, we're talking about the plateau. They're up there. They're playing with the big boys now, and they're trading games with them. And
where are other 3 maps? I'm trying to think at this point.
I remember Ilios was one of them.
You are
New
correct.
Bonnie was one of them.
You are correct.
It's getting good. I already like those 2. I can't remember the 3rd map, but
might have been Hollywood, I think. So the next one is going to be Ilios, though. I'm so happy.
I just love the Sparta the Sparta pit, man.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
It's
And
so good. The little
the,
ruins in the middle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
both
I like
teams
that.
have pretty good Lucios. We saw Grego definitely using Lucio to cap the final point on, what was it? I think it was Gibraltar. And then we definitely saw the Boop coming out for sure for getting knocked off the edge when they were attacking.
Yep, and also don't forget, we saw a lot of pretty successful Widow on Ruins portion of Ilios yesterday too, so we might even get to see some sniper action. Of course, this map is another one of the King of the Hill maps. You have 3 different... what I like about this map, and what I think is cool, is that there's more interactions with the environment on this one than almost any of the other King of the Hill ones.
A lot of ledges.
A lot of people can think that's kind of cheesy. I'm the kind of person who thinks that that requires just a different mindset and strategy to think about how you use your environment. But especially on Well, you're going to see a lot of comps designed around Lucio, Roadhog, and Pharah to just pull people into the middle.
Hey, man, I'm just about play the games.
Yeah?
I want to see like the full man boops or the Zarya ults that where they fall off the ledge, stuff like that. Or
the best I've ever gotten was 2. I've never gotten a 3-man boop.
Have you seen a Balrog hook? Do you know what a Balrog hook is?
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, actually,
do you want to explain it?
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, of course, Lord of the Rings, Balrog pulls, Gandalf into the pit with him. So if you're Roadhog and you're falling off the edge, you look up, you hook someone, and you bring them down with you. I exclusively play Roadhog now just to do that to people, basically.
That is the sickest. And it can happen like Roadhog versus Roadhog. You can literally pull a Roadhog, bring him, he falls in the hole, and then he just revenge kills you. That
basically, yeah. See, because usually when you're pulling someone in over a pit, you're standing over the ledge because you want them to fall down. So if you grab them in, you're in perfect position for that Roadhog to just look up and go, "No, you're coming with me."
Yeah, and then there's the Lucio on the Sparta map where there's the big hole, and Lucios can just. They just can go in the center, and they just keep going around like a skating rink.
Yeah, exactly.
They can just hover inside there the whole time.
It's so cool because on Ruins, what he's talking about is it's a super long, narrow map, and at the very center, there's a set-in, like underneath ground level Ruins portion, and that's where the attack point is. And there's walls up all around it. And for those of you who don't know, of course, Lucio allows you to wall ride around if you're holding spacebar or your jump key.
Just like a giant
And you literally can do that the whole time. You can just sit there, and we're on it right now, so you can see that's actually the attack point we were talking about. And Lucio can just ride around those walls all day long.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is going to be interesting. This is this is where we could see those Widows. Widows is fairly often on this map. You just basically sit backside. You have a lot of distance. You have a perfect view because in the middle is the control point, but it's sunken in.
A very squishy comp here from Cloud9, I gotta say. A decent comp for getting around behind people on a super long, narrow map, but I mean, like, one Winston, especially against a Reaper, that's not that tanky.
I would have loved to see Naptime playing that Tracer.
Yeah.
He kind of teased me a little bit, man.
I know,
I saw some great Tracer play, and then he had to switch off, and he's never allowed to touch it again. His team's like, no.
You're right. You will only play Mercy or we'll let you go. Okay, so Reaver and... Okay, no more Widow on the other side for NG Red. Looks like they decided to go with Mangachu on Pharah, pop up a soldier there as well. So still the 3 DPS double support single tank for both teams.
This definitely favors Cloud9. I think having the Widow versus the Pharah, that's the dream matchup you're looking for.
Especially, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday when we were covering this map, especially when teams are contesting the point because you can just get up so easily, so high, and just peer into the entire attack point the whole time.
And it's Reaver. Reaver is a Widowmaker player. He just doesn't get to play it that often. But they're doing a great job of zoning him right now. You see the Winston jumping up. And look at the tactics from Cloud9. As soon as that Widow gets jumped, they say fall back. Everybody fall back, group up, kill this Winston, and then we'll come back and we'll take that point.
Oh, I love doing this stuff with Pharah. Just get off the edge. And, just playing around with people and using your jetpack and stuff like that.
The bet he said, my life is over.
I know, right? You know, I gotta say, though, I agreed with you that I thought the comp favored Cloud9, but Reaver wasn't able to make anything happen with Widow there. Once they jumped him, they fell back. Yeah, they saved their team. I think you were correct in pointing that out. They didn't get anything done, and NG Red was able to stand on the point.
Yeah, and given that he actually just switched, sometimes you feel it, sometimes you don't, and if you're not hitting those headshots, might as well switch. You don't want to sit consistently on a Widow that's not doing damage.
And I forget if it was you or if it was ZP who brought this up yesterday, but it's a good point in that... but he's got a jump left.
He's back.
He's still got a jump. I love that.
The Superman, man. He had his fist out and everything.
But on this map, Widow is exponentially more useful when there's actual competition going on the point. When you're just defending further back or further ahead, really loses her usefulness.
Yeah, and once you know that there's a Widow out there, you're not going to be peeking those corners. You're not going to be, obviously, in those lines of sight. You're going to be hiding back, guerrilla warfare, and that's so important going against Widow. And at this point, at this level, they're not going to be making those kind of mistakes.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, so damage boosted, Pharah is always fun, and Reaver will make those shots count. We have 3 ults up on the side of Cloud9 as TacVisor is actually popped along with Sound Barrier there for NG Red. 2 members of Cloud9 have now fallen as Kai and Reaver go down off to the side. Here comes an ult for Wolf. Pretty decent one so far. Rez comes in there off to the side from Adam, though, just before he dies. Brings everyone up from Cloud9, but NG Red is still making this happen. Red Expert has fallen. There goes Bird now, and the Barrage is going to come back and maybe allow them to hold on to this point.
Yeah, Rez for Rez there, but Cloud9 pulling the trigger a little bit earlier, I think, than Northern Gaming. But because they had that advantage a little bit earlier in the fight, they're just getting the frags, and at this point, it's a full wipe. This King of the Hill battle between these two teams is so even right now. 48 versus 56. We saw it on the first map going 99 versus 99 multiple times. They are very, very even. Even though I like the King of the Hill maps the most, I recognize they're very feast or famine when it comes to matches. Because people either win 99-0 and you're done and that's out, or it's incredibly competitive and goes right down to the wire. And between these two teams, it's been some pretty compelling matches, and I've loved seeing them adjust their team comps as time goes along. Surefour throws out his heal there, and he's back up the full with him and Adam sitting right behind. And point is being contested by Northern Gaming Red at the moment, but Wolf is already down. Kai actually falls off to the side as Chance dives in with Winston. Yeah, and great. Look at the movement between Reaver. He's constantly above the enemy Pharah. He has that Mercy support, and he's going to be able to get on top of him, just dunks him into the ground. The tactical brilliance coming out here for Cloud9. You see, whenever Northern Gaming push onto the point, they fall back. Yeah, exactly. They fall back, and they just let them come into them, they kill them, and then they retake that forward ground, and then they're constantly retreating. And that's so different from so many people on Ilios, because most people take the other route. You go forward, you meet them at their spawn, so they can't actually come forward to you. But this allows them to utilize the high ground so much more efficiently because they automatically get high ground going into the point. And you see it right here as Northern Gaming Red's trying to come in, and they just get picked off one at a time by Reaver over the top. Great defense. I think you called it perfectly. Just an absolutely wonderful strategy from Cloud9. Yes, they're always willing to meet them at the front, but they're falling back. It's a lot easier to lead those rockets, those skills, those projectiles as you fall back, and they're forced to come eat them. Right. You know? They're just eating them as they walk into them, and you fall back, and then you make a stand at a certain point. And that's just great tactics, great play from Cloud9. And a great teabag emote once again. Yeah. Oops. And you know, really honestly, it should just be the teabag with all of the Hearthstone emotes over it. If they could find a way to combo those at the beginning, I'd be pretty happy. I am actually waiting for a team to do like a combo spray message after a fight, and just line up all 6 and be so badass. Oh my. They practice it for hours instead of the real next meta. That's the real next meta. I could see it. Well, this is going to be the Sparta hold. Definitely interesting for these Lucios and these Roadhogs and pretty much everybody. Even these Pharaohs can definitely knock somebody down. Okay, so Cloud9 actually standing back and being a little less aggressive, except, I should say, I'm sorry for Devin, who just freaking blitzed over to the other side and stuck his fat pig ass in there. Yeah. NG Red, though, has already lost 2 people, Naptime and Wolf. Cloud9 has lost Reaver off to the side, and a good job for Mangachu to just lay on consistent damage here. Oh, you can see that Lucio right in the bowl. And you can actually get your way back out of there. It takes forever as Lucio, but you can do it. Not for these pro gamers, man. They can do it. That's true. Like they can do it pretty fast, Hey, they spend all day skating, man. It takes me forever condition to get out of the pit as Lucio, but it can happen. Yeah, us and you viewers, for sure. Okay, so NG Red with a need to, I think about how they want to flank this, because they're kind of showing their Zarya up at the front and just letting her take free damage. They're too staggered. They really need to group us as 6 and push in at the same time, not from the same angle either. That's the complexity of this map, is that you have to come from different chokes, but you need to make sure you're meeting the opposite team all at the same time, or you're going to be fighting 1v2s, 1v3s, and not 6v6s. It looks like they have just a general, team fight comp, but I mean, I'd love to see a couple divers here to just go all the way past the other side and knock out Adam or knock out Grego or Reaver, just someone like that, so that way they can dance back pretty quick and get a quick 5v6 or something. But it seems like they're sitting down and going, no, we know that Roadhog, Pharah, and Lucio are good on this map, we're just going to go with it. Yeah, great job by the soldiers doing consistent damage. This might be the point where they can turn it. They drop the B, they're going to take out Kai. Look at this damage. As we said, Bird just taking out every player that he gets his eyes on, and he's actually going to push off Surefour as well. Surefour getting pulled back. Grego jumping down. He's still down there. Yep, there he goes. He gets up so quick, man. He jumps back out. All right. So Grego, though, is going to try and get back on the point. Can't do anything about that. We finally have a cap for NG Red. It is 69% to 5% at the moment, though. Cloud9 did get a very nice first cap and held it for quite a while. Yeah, they did a great job. At the end of the day, I feel like as a team, they retake a lot better than
Yeah.
Northern Gaming. They
Yeah,
just have the
I agree.
coordination to go in. They know what they're doing. They can call out different plays, who's going to flank, who's going to do what. They can come in as 6, spread out, but at the same time. Northern Gaming, they do that eventually, but it takes them 2 or 3 tries.
It generally seems like Cloud9 is... Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. There's a bunch of votes pop out here for Cloud9. They already lose 2 members of their team. Wolf actually went down to about 5 hit points, but he stays alive as Roadhog getting back up. Here comes in the res from Adam. He takes... He brings back in 2 people from his team. Naptime actually dies off to the side, which means that there's no res available. Lucio was knocked into the point, gets back out of there. Reaver coming through, though, snagging 2 kills right away on the Northern Gaming, gets the 3rd on Bread Experts, and continues to lay down the damage as Cloud9 takes the retake. What I was going to say, though, is that it seems like between these 2 teams, Northern Gaming has been by far better at running the payload, managing those sorts of things. Cloud9 is way better at taking these control points.
I completely agree. And we saw how quickly they retook there. They only let them get up to 40%, where on the other side, Northern Gaming had to wait until they got to about 70%.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the difference here. That is the Pepsi challenge.
The Pepsi challenge. My God, which one's like Coke?
Exactly.
Okay.
Right now, Cloud9 is.
Cloud9 is Coke. I see your biases already.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So Ult coming in from Bird once again, and he does consistent damage. He knocks out Kai again, but can't really do anything else. Adam is forced to actually res right away. Grego throws off the sound barrier, but so does Bread. I'm sorry, Grego did not throw off sound barrier. That was Bread Expert for NG. Here comes in Sureforce Tactical Visor, does a little bit of damage off to the side, but needs to keep people off the point for at least a little while. Overtime is done, and that's going to be another map for Cloud9.
Oh, brutal. Brutal. I don't want to go to King of the Hill anymore. As Northern Gaming, I'm like, all right, let's stay away from that.
Well, I think Lijiang Tower is out of the map pool, period. So we've already seen Nepal and Ilios. There can't be any more after this. I think we have, what, Gibraltar and...
Well, the players are calling...
I don't know.
The players are like, GG, man.
Is it
nice try, yeah. Great, congrats and stuff. And they're like, wait, it's best of 5.
That's pretty awesome. So NG Red not only forgot to wake up Wolf, they forgot to read the rulebook too. So
that's okay.
That's all right.
My breath every time I saw one of those Lucios fall into the well, and then I'm just like I said, as for us, that's a scary moment.
Exactly.
We're literally drowning in water, and we're trying our best to doggy paddle up. But for these pro players, man, they're just Michael Phelps. They're like, oh, we got this.
And they get jumped like 4 times, and they're just immediately out. I always have this bad habit. Whenever I'm in the well, like I'm good at okay, I'm catching my breath. I'm circling now. Let's jump up a little. I'm still on. Jump up. I'm still there. You know, I just can't do the jump. I always fall down.
Gotta get that APM.
I know. Oh, as a 130 APM StarCraft player.
Nice, man. That's not bad. That's not bad.
I don't know how much of it was effective. I was terrible at StarCraft. You know this.
Well, no, I don't know. How would I know this? I didn't play you.
There's a reason I talked about people playing StarCraft, though. So, yeah.
So you're saying all casters are bad at the game?
Yeah, when you can't play, you cast, right?
Yeah, that's true.
There you go. And I'm fine to admit that, at least. I don't have the ego like some casters that pretend they're good.
I have that ego. I'm pretty good at Overwatch.
You wore a pro jersey for a little while, though, so at least you've got credentials. So I've worn a suit.
Yeah,
that's all I've ever done.
I could see that.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's why I can talk trash about players a little bit more, because I've been there.
You at least have the ability to. It's always so funny though whenever casters want to criticize one thing, and a lot of times I won't criticize necessarily so much as like suggest an alternate possibility or something like that. Right, but because you don't ever want to, as a caster, look at someone and go, "This is exactly what's going to happen." You want to say, "Well, you know, considering the circumstances,
but that's what I'm doing with the Miss Cleo thing.
There's this. There you go. Yeah, and it's come through for you quite a bit.
Sometimes I think it was what. What did I mess up on? There was one thing. The maps. New Bonnie.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. It wasn't the first map. We're going to go to Hollywood, though. I was right. So we have Hollywood that's going to be next.
We're going to miss out on
attack payload map.
Maybe.
Wow. Counting out NG Red already.
No, I want them because that's my team. That's who I said have been stepping up the whole time. So I definitely want them to.
They already thought they lost the whole set. So, you know, this is just a bonus for them.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully they have that mindset. Plus, I would like to see New Bonnie. So it's like a win-win for me if they can go the distance here.
And we've said before, you know, King's Row, Cloud9 was way more effective at taking the initial point, grabbed it in about 40 seconds, got held at the end the entire time, right at the very end of it.
OT.
Flip side for our other team, though, NG, you know, they managed to take the first point in about 2.5 minutes, but then just blitzed through the end of it with some really good coordinated attacks. If I had to expect, we're probably going to see something similar here. It being Hollywood, though, and given what I've seen from Cloud9 diving and stuff like that, I'd love to see out on the defense side from NG, though, some more turret play. I'd like to see Torbjorn or Symmetra in there.
Yeah, I would like to see that. Also, the high ground, Hollywood, it's so important after that first point. Yeah. It's going to, like, once we get there, it's going to see, do they have a plan or do they not? This comes down to experience, as I said. I think, obviously, Cloud9 has a lot more experience, but at the same time, when you're playing somebody you don't play on a regular basis, you don't scrim against on a regular basis, you don't have that much information about either. Like when Northern Gaming says, all right, we're playing Cloud9, they've been watching them, I'm sure, for months.
Of course.
Because Cloud9's been at the top for months. So they've seen, like, okay, this is how they play that map. This is how they play that map. And then they know, okay, they're going to do this strategy. This is how they're going to play this section of the map. On the other side, Cloud9 looking at Northern Gaming, it's like, okay, these guys are pretty good. They're on the up and up. But, like, what are they going to do? Because we don't really know because we haven't seen them.
Because when you have two different Reinhardt mains, for a casual person, you may look at that and think, oh, they're both playing Reinhardt. But knowing what that, how that other person plays Reinhardt, what their tendencies are.
Is he going to shield?
Do they charge more often? Or do they use their Earth Shatter as soon as it comes up? Or do they save it for like you have to understand and really get invested in knowing the people that you're going to play against, even if you know their meta, their comp, etc. That's not enough. Yeah,
I completely agree. And that's the problem being top dog.
Yep.
You always have someone nipping at your heels. But on the other side, when you're young, ambitious, you're coming, you just have so much going for you. And Northern Gaming, they're doing a great job, but they have to pull together. Like they can go the distance, even if they lost at 3-2. I think if they go the distance, that's like that is amazing. I think that's what's going to get the pros talking. That's what's going to get people talking, within the community, saying this team's coming. Like they're coming for everybody at the top. And maybe that's Envious, maybe that's Cloud9. Who knows in 1 or 2 months? But that could be NG.
FaZe Clan.
FaZe Clan, that's what you're going
with?
No,
I don't know. I mean, we joke because we saw their first effort this weekend. For those of you who don't know or just tuning in today or didn't see yesterday's games or anything like that, FaZe Clan actually made their debut in Overwatch at this tournament. They have some storied FPS players in their clan, former multiple world champion in Quake, Fraud, of course, who's a legend in Counter-Strike. So it's just good to see that they're picking up high-quality FPS veterans, but clearly they need some more time as a team.
Yeah, they need more time as a team. I want to say, like, Mendo alone, that guy is amazing. I have seen him in so many scrims. That guy, he's not only a great guy, he's European. That's something.
And he's been playing competitive Overwatch. In comparison to some of the guys that they signed, he's been around the scene and playing on other teams for a while.
He's definitely the veteran, the star player on that team.
Yes.
And he's just an amazing guy.
It was just so weird for me to see Fraud. I was talking about this with E-League analyst Dustin Murray the other day. Like, we were like, Fraud is playing Lucio? Like, what world am I in?
It's like a waste.
One of the most legendary Counter-Strike players of all time.
Yeah.
All right, okay, so we're here. It looks like Cloud9 is on defense, going to start things off. And no dual support. Grego actually swapping off of Lucio at the moment to play that Reaper so they can go with a 3 DPS single support dual tank. Yeah, very interesting. On NG's side, we actually have just one tank as well, just the Reinhardt, but a lot more DPS. Genji, that Pharah, and a Soldier to go along with it.
Well, we're going to see mainly this Genji. If he can show up, he's going to do a lot of damage. He's going to be able to pull through. But Wolf, I haven't seen too much of the Genji. He's mainly shown on Reaper or Soldier.
Yep, and I think he played Genji once today, maybe a little while. But I don't know if he was able to do that much to it because he was playing it in response to what Surefour was crushing them with.
Yeah, and this is a very tense moment. You can see both Reinhardts just flaunting at each other, like two rhinos that are about to charge. Not sure how it's going to end up, but they lose the shield battle, and it looks like Northern Gaming are going to take that back alley. You can see Mangachu still flying up and shooting, and on the reverse side, you can see that Pharah constantly laying down damage on the Reinhardt shield, just making sure that he can't push in. And you can see the other enemy Reinhardt pushing up. This is a very, very, very tense moment. They have to set a good time going into this. They need that tempo.
I wonder if they're going to miss that Lucio, though. I mean, I'm watching everyone. Obviously, Kaikai has a lot of self-sustain. Surefour even has some health that he can give. Grego is going to passively regen a little bit with souls and stuff like that.
Yes.
So it's not like they absolutely need the double support comp, but I think I agree with you that it's a little bit weird, and I think it's hurting them a bit. But Northern Gaming, though, needs to get over their fear of wanting to attack this control point.
They've been sitting like in no man's land for a long time, not deciding, and it looks like they might. I'm just waiting for a Reinhardt charge or something to happen.
There it is, Speak, and you get it. Devin ends up going down. Oh, and I heard a tactical visor actually come out from Bird at the same time. Surefour has this available if he wants to use it. Looks like he's going to go through that right away. Wolf actually trying to chase him down at the moment, get some damage done. Brad Expert has fallen. Wolf and half time go down right after him. There goes Bird and Chance, and that's a team wipe for NG. Cloud9 with a great defense. Yeah,
and it was a clean one at that. They have enough members where they're not going to have to be challenged by the reinforcement from Northern Gaming. So we're going to set up again, and it's going to be a 6v6 battles. But let's take a look at the ultimates. We have on Cloud9 Reaver, of course, with that barrage, but on the other side, Wolf does have his ultimate.
Yeah.
It's 1-for-1. They can break them here. It's a very even fight, and I think potentially Genji has a lot more playmaking ability.
Oh, see, I was waiting for the sound barrier. There it is. Comes out from Bread Expert. Wolf uses his ult at the same time, so Genji trying to jump through. Surefour, Devin, Adam, and Grego have fallen. Kai going to go down here in just a second, too. No, he actually heals up and sticks around the corner. Can he actually disrupt this? Reaver goes down. There goes Kai. It's a team wipe, and Northern Gaming Red is going to take objective A.
Yeah, shout out to Wolf here. He's throwing down the Genji spray. He really opened up. He got those initial 2 kills, and that's what they needed. That's what they were looking for. It was a very even battle, and they cleaned up really well there, and they're going to get this payload. But this is where the challenging part comes in, this high ground. How are they going to play it? Cloud9's probably going to get up on the opposite side. Can they stagger them? Can they get them? And the Reinhardt misses the elevator. You can see him there at the bottom left of the screen. And
wow, that was super solid long-range play there from Wolf, actually, to help finish off and do 60% of the damage. That was pretty crazy to Surefour.
Reinhardt going for a little ride there,
nice.
helping him on that building. Go ahead, big boy. We'll get you up there. But he's by himself. Where's his team?
I don't know.
Poor Reinhardt. Look at him. He's just by himself.
He's shielding no one. I love it. Get off my high ground. Mangachu charging up his ult at the moment. He does have a decent amount of combo this with. Chance is about to have Earth Shatter. Wolf's about to have his ult. Attack Visor's there. Rez is there. So they're going to be able to do a huge attack wombo combo. And we've seen that they've been able to push the point really efficiently so far. Cloud9, on the other hand, almost has an Earth Shatter barrage ready of their own.
Yeah, and hats off to Northern Gaming. They've done a great job so far. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Mangachu, man, this Pharah, like it's the story of Ferris for this whole tournament. He's doing a great job just constantly putting damage. He's going to get behind enemy lines. You see that movement, so slick, so clean. And his team beneath are just cleaning up. They are cleaning this whole side alleyway. Yeah, he just homing, the homing.
Wow. Okay, so Mangachu's on a roll here. Surefour unfortunately killed himself there. I guess he must have touched himself with a Helix rocket for the last point of damage. I always love that. It's so frustrating when you see that pop up there. Okay, so NG Red showing us again.
He's just chasing him down. Adam getting stuck around that corner. He couldn't do much. He was just stuck, tried to fly, and got caught.
Do you remember yesterday when they were playing Gale Force and like no one paid attention to Mangachu the entire freaking time?
And that's the problem.
It's what's happening here again. He's been alive for the past 3 minutes, and once again we're seeing that Northern Gaming Red has just been dominant on moving these payloads.
Yeah, you leave 3 on the payload, it's pushing fairly quickly, but they're just staggering. They're keeping them back. They're not letting them get into position. They're not letting them get set up. And that's the important factor here, not only on the second point, but now in this final leg. Northern Gaming setting the tempo here. They could take it 2-2. So far this time has been very quick.
Yeah, it really has been. They're doing a nice job moving this payload once again. Here comes the sound barrier in from Northern Gaming Red. Once again, throwing out some good damage. 5 members down. Adam gets a full res, though. He pays the price for it, but Cloud9 still does have a little bit here. Surefour goes in with his tack visor. At the same time, Grego throws down his ult. Wolf around the back here, throws out the deflection, trying to do whatever he can, but unfortunately, Bird and Chance have fallen at the moment. Naptime waiting to use his res. Is he going to do it? No. Looks like they're just going to wait for them to respawn, regroup, and come back in.
Yeah, if Naptime was hitting, and then he could just come in and do that counter res, that was a great res by Adam. Like, literally, his whole team's dead. He comes in. Yeah, that was an insane ult, especially Mangachu setting that up for his team, but what are you going to do? The Mercy played great, hid, did his job, came in, and they totally turned that table.
Absolutely. Okay, so Northern Gaming Red has plenty of time now to make a couple good coordinated attacks. They don't have to worry, I was going to say, but Bread Expert actually getting rocked off to the side. Chance, too. This is just poke damage. They're trying to move forward. They're trying to do something. They weren't even able to fully engage before Reaver, and I'm actually going to give a little bit of credit to Kai there, too, actually just putting his body in the way. And Mangachu gets picked out of midair by Reaver. Wow.
Yeah, that was a great shot by Reaver. He definitely won that matchup. I think, I don't know, I like to think Reaver is a great Pharah, and I think, honestly, he could take Mangachu in a 1v1 battle. It's just the fact that Mangachu's team supports him. You see Naptime just constantly damage boosting him. It's a very Seagull-esper-ish.
Yeah, it really is, right? Okay, so let's look at ults right now. For Cloud9, they have Kai, Devin, and Adam sitting on ults, and here comes Whole Hog from Kai to start things off. Earthshatter comes in from Devin right afterwards. Barrage coming in on the other side from Mangachu. He does take out Devin, does a lot of damage to Grego. 3 more people down, but Adam gets off another good rest there. 4 more people back up for Cloud9 at the moment. Adam doesn't even pay for it. He actually gets away with the res, too. Here comes the res in now from Naptime. Everyone from Northern Gaming Red is back up. Surefour gets knocked out at the side, and that could be big.
Yeah, that Genji versus Genji battle. Wolf stepping up for his team. He's had 4 or 5 kills this whole battle. He's definitely doing the damage, but someone needs to challenge Reaver. He's just behind them, constantly behind that the meaty parts of them and just destroying, doing damage. Look at this. He takes out Bread Expert. You get another res out here from Cloud9. I think they're going to be able to hold it. Kai showing up, taking out Chance. Also, Mangachu. They're going to have to fall back here and reset. I don't think Naptime's going to get much at all here.
All right, no, really not at all. Unfortunately, 2 people down already for Northern Gaming. Red Mangachu comes back up, and he's going to be in the fight here in a second, but they've got to regroup once again. Mangachu with a little bit of peanut butter there, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, and Birdtime kind of wasting his ult there. He pulls the trigger while he's by himself, and as I said, that spray being so popular. Mangachu on Winston, though? Is this not a waste? I feel like as Pharah, he's been doing what he needs to do. This is almost like a cheese comp. You can see at the top the payload's so very close to that final point. They need to wipe them once, and maybe this is what Mangachu thinks they need.
Yes, maybe. We'll find out, but he's actually been playing really well on his Reaver up to this point, so I'm kind of surprised. The zoning is actually pretty decent, though. He's actually knocking Adam away completely, who has a res available if the rest of NG can continue to push in, but I don't think that even with 2 members down, they could do anything there, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that Mercy being able to stay alive, you can see he finally gets that res off, and I think that's going to be enough to bring him back, but we'll see. Bird getting to bet, Reaver showing up. They need to take out Reaver. Reaver has been that guy that is destroying their team behind enemy lines. He's constantly behind the shield, flying uncontested.
Okay, so what really do they need to do to adjust here? Because Northern Gaming, despite having pretty good attacks up to this point, has really just run into a brick wall. Reaver's been poking them off from the side. They decided to swap over and give themselves a bit of additional tankiness. I think that shouldn't have come at the expense of Mangachu. That probably should have been someone else, in my opinion.
I agree.
But they've got to do something here. Maybe, I'm trying to think at this point. Well, what would you even swap to?
They have an ultimate advantage right now. They have...
Maybe
no,
Zarya?
actually, yeah, no. Cloud9 have the ult. It's not... I don't know. You need a hit scan for sure to take out the Pharah, or a Pharah yourself that's going to even out the damage.
But I mean, they're not. They do need the hit scan. Bird needs to stay absolutely 100% as Soldier at the moment. They need to deal with Reaver. Maybe even a sniper or something. They need to be able to get behind this back line. They're just getting stumped. They even had a serious attempt at this attack in like 2.5, 3 minutes.
As long as Reaver can take a good amount of their health down before they even get into the fight, they're going to consistently win every single fight. And you can see that's happening right now. Bird's getting poked down. They're going to drop the beat, but it gets countered, so it's almost even right now. You can see Reaver in the sky. He almost gets picked up. Great movement by him. He's still alive. He has that ult. He's holding it until the last minute. The res comes up. They're reset. Northern Gaming are 5 men right now to the 6 of Cloud9. 1 drops Grego. He's still holding on to this ult. Will he use it? That's the question. He does pull the trigger. He needs to get off Wolf. Doesn't look like he got too much, actually, but he picks off Bread Expert at the end, and it's just enough. As a team, Cloud9 are playing better.
That's it. That's it. It was just enough. And every single time, it's been just enough to prevent Northern Gaming from coming in and full hard engaging and diving their back line. Reaver here has been an absolute all-star. I also want to give a big shout-out to Grego, because you might see all this poke damage and think how cool this is, but Grego has been in the middle of everything and ensuring that even though they're doing poke damage, they're not taking any in return.
I completely agree, and it's going to get OT'd here down to the wire. They got a little bit longer to go. Actually missing his ult. The Reinhardt didn't hit much at all. They're going to flank. They're on top of the point. They know they have to be touching it at all times. Great ults. They're actually on the board quite a bit here. Chance getting a kill. Wolf getting one. Mangachu as well. Can they finish it, though? They don't have anything for this Pharah.
No,
Look
they don't.
at Reaver just laying down rockets constantly. This Reinhardt below swinging for the fences. 2 members left. They're on the payload. A third coming up. Another ult. He gets taken out. A res comes up. We're down to the wire. There's 3 meters to go. Can they do it? He goes down finally. Bird. No, they get pushed off the point.
They did. They did. They had to switch it up there. I do not like the hero switching they were doing at the end of that match. I really don't. Cloud9 with a really good defense there. I've got to give a bunch of credit to them. Reaver was an all-star there with that poke play. That was amazing. Grego. I think Grego has been the unsung hero this entire weekend to me for Cloud9. He's always been effective. He's always been in the middle of things, and he's always had the perfect sound barrier ready. So I've been a big fan of his play. Reaver, though, 94 direct hits with rockets.
Yeah, that's crazy. That Adam res, though, that mechanic, that play of the game.
Yep.
He waits. There's 1 Pharah. 4 team members on the ground, dead. They have no chance of coming back. They're laying on the ground. He has 1 Pharah in the sky. And you could dive. You know, you could dive on those 4 heroes right below you, but you're going to be in the line of sight of almost every character. Instead, he comes from an angle, flies to the Pharah, which he knows, like, that is such an obscure angle. To hit scan a character that's doing this instead of diving right into the middle of the battle, great play, and he waits. Just like that. The Pharah dies, hits res, 5-man res. Great job by Adam.
Yeah, so Adam's been has been pretty solid as well.
Yes.
Here's what I'm going to say, though. This may be bad to say, but Cloud9 looks good against worse teams. And I know that sounds bad, but it's clear they're outplaying or outplayed NG at the end of that last game there. I think both in decision-making and in mechanics, they outplayed them there. But Adam did not look that good against NVS. Chips was destroying him if you're talking about the Mercy to Mercy matchup right now. So, like, I agree. I think Adam's done a good job. Part of that might be NG's fault, though.
Yeah, and I mean, as a Mercy, what can you do, right? If you're getting hunted, you're getting killed, there isn't really anything you can do.
And that's been the story of the last 2 weeks of Overwatch, is find and kill the Mercy.
Yeah, it's a lot of, like, unsung heroes. It's hard to judge those things, because it's easy to see a DPS getting killed, seeing the scoreboard, getting medals, you know. That's very easy. It's the unsung heroes, the support players that are going to know where to hide, how to stay alive, how to, you know, hide behind line of sights, when to use their reses, all that kind of stuff. And like Northern Gaming, that last point, they did a great job. You remember on that second point, Cloud9 never got set up. Northern Gaming destroyed them for 90% of the map.
That's right.
They absolutely destroyed them. They got the first point fairly quickly. The second point, Cloud9 never got on the roof. They never got set up. They constantly staggered them. They held literally at the end, and that's all they did well, but they did it so well that they actually didn't finish the map. So now it's going to be down to Cloud9. If Cloud9 can complete the map and do it within a reasonable, well, any time, they will win this series. Northern Gaming need a big stop here.
And they can do it. Cloud9 has shown that in tight corridors with the payload, they're susceptible to getting flanked. They're susceptible to big ult combos. So I think that's where Northern Gaming is going to have to make their stand. They did go with the Symmetra, and I was saying that I really wanted one of the turret characters from Northern Gaming because of how quickly and aggressively Cloud9's been playing, and I think that's going to serve them well. Get that teleporter up as soon as possible, get some turret damage in, make sure your team can reinforce super quickly.
Yeah, what's interesting here, even more so, is Surefour on the Hanzo, taking out that Symmetra you were just talking about. And I mean, the Hanzo, that is an interesting pick. We haven't seen too much of him at all.
Yeah, not today. I mean, we saw him yesterday on Gibraltar a couple of times, but anytime there's been an attack going into Hollywood's first attack point, it's always been a Widowmaker. It's specifically been God the past couple of days, but always been Widowmaker, which is kind of interesting. Here comes a dive in from Chance. He just goes right on past everyone. Ult is already up there for Surefour. He drops it across the attack point and gives his team a good chance to take this right away.
Yeah, he did a great job. And this is the problem with Symmetra. If you die early, you provide nothing for your team. Your team has to fight 6v5, basically, on point, close distance. And you have to walk from, you know, a long ways away.
Pretty good shot there from Surefour as well to do a bit of damage. Another res coming in. Yeah, exactly, from Adam. Still on point, brings his team back up. And this is what we mentioned before. Cloud9 has been great at taking these initial attack points. If they can secure this one right here, they'll give themselves a pretty decent place to be. But I mean, like, they got to make sure they can hit that payload. Stage 2, pretty good attack visor coming up from Bird. Annihilates Reaper. There is someone behind him. That's Lucio.
I cannot believe that Northern Gaming just held them.
Right?
It looked so bad for like 80% of that fight or more, where they lost the Symmetra, they're down a man, they're constantly getting pushed back. They actually only got one checkpoint too. They were barely at 2. It looked, I thought they for sure had it.
Yep, I completely agree with you, especially with the way that Surefour ulted. He was getting some good shots, even at ground level, didn't even need to be up high. I almost want to go back and watch that again, because I want to see how Northern Gaming was able to break through that after Chance dove past. With the fact that Mangachu was up to a full ult there after starting that one again, I got to assume it was him landing a pick or two. Mangachu, though, throws off his whole hog to continue zoning for a little while, and Northern Gaming Red needs this. They absolutely do. Cloud9, this is typically where they excel, getting in on this attack point, doing a good flank, but they've just not been able to make it happen since their first push.
And this is surprising. I feel like Cloud9's choking a little bit here.
Yes.
They are having a hard time on this first point. They need this first point, or they're going to go 2-2, and you never want to go into the final match on a loss.
Right. Okay, here comes another ult in from Surefour off to the side. Red Expert and Mangachu have died by now, but Naptime does have an ult available if he wants to get the 3-man up for just a second. Die comes in from Wolf. Ult actually comes in from both Adam and Naptime at the same time. Sound Barrier following that up for Cloud9 as Grego continuing to move in with the rest of his team. Reaver finally dies as he tries to barrage off to the edge. Devitt throws off his Earth Shatter too, but they can't quite full retake this point yet.
No, they're having a hard time. I mean, it's still chaotic. They definitely have a shot here. It's 2v2. Interesting matchup, maybe 3 here. I think it's an advantage of position for Northern Gaming, especially with Bird popping that ult. It seems like every time they're that close and Bird just has the ult.
I couldn't tell if it looked like that Surefour was just intentionally dying or if he was trying to get off his ult in time there real quick.
Yeah.
But in any case, he goes down. Cloud9's going to have to regroup as Reaver just goes and just dies as soon as they're trying to enter the point.
Yeah, and 1:40 left. I mean,
this is good.
Yeah. this is great by Northern Gaming Red so far. But at the end of the day, as long as they complete the map, that's all they need. So the first step to that, taking this point, 1:30 to go. They only have one check, but they've come so close both battles to just cleaning them completely.
Absolutely right. We'll see if Cloud9 can do anything here right at the end. Good job by Chance to sit back with that Reinhardt, letting the teams come to him. Sentry turrets are dying across the way, but that doesn't really matter for Red Expert at the moment. And they're doing a nice job of keeping them in no man's land. Yes, they've got the high ground here and the advantage, but it's not like they're going to be able to drop down with the Death Blossom. They've got to rely on a good Earth Shatter, maybe Whole Hog here. Yeah,
Northern Gaming definitely have the ult advantage. They got 4 checked already. Wolf with 1 hit, about to go down, but he's going to survive. And you can see Surefour doing great damage on these tanks, getting right in there. He's going to get turned on by this Roadhog, but he's going to clean him up. He also almost got the Reinhardt. The Reinhardt has to be low here.
Really good play from Surefour. He could have easily died there a couple of times. He left shifted at the right time. Oh, I thought he was going to get that kill on Wolf, too. He had 3 great shots into the back, but Wolf gets off the ult. And look at that, 5 people down for Cloud9
30 seconds.
Again. Wolf there saving the round, I believe, for NG.
Yeah, they have 1, and he was very low. He was 1 more shot. Surefour almost had him, but 1 shot is not enough, and these battles have been so close. But Cloud9, 20 seconds to go. Can they do it? They have to get on that point.
Okay, Reaver coming in from the side. He has been what's made a lot of these plays work for Cloud9 up to this point. And there goes the Whole Hog in addition to the sound barrier from Grego. Rest of the team coming in for Cloud9. Surefour has fallen. Adam does not have an ult up. Wolf and Bird have gone down on the other side for NG. Naptime does not have his own ult remaining, and a couple of members of Cloud9 standing on this. Reaver is not taking that much damage. Red Expert taking, dying there actually outright. Symmetra trying to jump in and do what she can, but Reaver knocks her out. The ult did come in from Adam off to the side, but it may not be enough here as Cloud9 is just down to 3 people.
OT for sure. This Roadhog being the last member. Also, Reaper coming in actually. Could they get this off? They got the teleporter. Are they going to hold?
I think
it looks like Surefour's going to get on the point. I don't know if it's going to be enough. He drops in. Wolf once again. They can't touch it. Do they touch it? He dives in as Mercy barely gets it, but he cleans up. Wolf doing a great job holding at the last second twice in a row. Tibet's going to have to die, but he's not going to get it.
Nope, absolutely not. GG, NG Red coming back. 2-2 against Cloud9, and with a chance to take home 3rd place and $3,000 in the next match.
This is crazy.
Wolf, there it is.
This is one of the holds. This ult, he barely escapes. We're not going to see Surefour behind him. Surefour is right behind him, hunting me. He sees the shots. He goes for it anyways. He ults. He's about to die. 39 HP.
He got healed there. Naptime saved him.
Wow,
Naptime actually did enough healing. He would have died there.
Yes.
Credit to Naptime for making that happen. Great play there from NG Red. A great defense, and they've got a little bit of momentum heading into Game 5 now.
Yeah, and that judgment call, you like as a pro player, you see the red marks at the bottom of your circle. You know you're getting shot from behind. You know it's a Reaper. You know if you turn around, you may win, you may lose, but your team needs you on that point. They need that Death Blossom, and a great choice by Wolf. Wolf just goes for it. He says, you know what? I'm going for the Q, hits the Q, Death Blossom, and he saved the point.
Right. In a completely uninterrupted Death Blossom can do basically the most damage in the entire game if they're tightly grouped enough, as we saw right there. It's absurd in all directions how much damage it can do. He is absolutely a priority to knock out or get away from. They weren't able to do both, because if they had tried to get away from the ult, they would have been effectively zoned. We would have seen the rest of it was a perfect play.
These two teams, we went into this and we're like, these teams are closely matched. You see why we said that now.
Absolutely.
Every single point, it's tooth and nail, overtime. They're just fighting for every little yard. It says meters in game. We're in America. Going with yards. I'm a football guy. Every yard, every inch, they're just crawling for everything. And they're fighting, dude. Like, how close of every match? And now it's 2-2 down to the wire. And where are we going? New Bonnie.
Yeah, your favorite map. You wanted to see it. It was the one, and we got it. New Bonnie has actually been a pretty compelling map to watch amongst pro play, too. I think it's got a lot of crazy strategies. What I like about New Bonnie as well is a lot of maps try to force what I think are too many weird, different locations. New Bonnie is actually kind of cool because it's fairly consistent. There's a lot of open area. There's a lot of good sight lines. You've got to plan comps that can attack in open air and things like that. And I actually really like that as a map. I think it's a little more unique.
I completely agree. It's just it's a cool map. There's a lot of different strategies that are coming out. We see more and more you know, we've seen some Winston,
Yep.
some D.Va,
A lot
even.
of Winston this weekend, yeah.
And those are the things that are coming to play. Even Hanzo on this map, it's not too wild.
I think, though, we've been seeing more Roadhog over the past week, but I think this weekend, too, has been the great coming out party for Roadhog, to be totally honest. Like, we have seen Roadhog in almost every single game up to this point now, almost as common as Reinhardt.
Yeah, because McCree nerf is so big. I mean, at the same time, because of the Roadhog and those more tanking compositions, we're also seeing that it's just everything. It's still evolving. It's still good, and
Meta's still really fresh. Yeah, I mean, we got a long way to go.
Fun.
The only thing we know in the game right now is that Mercy needs a nerf to her ult right now. That's just it's off a cooldown so fast.
I mean, I don't think it's so bad because I think we're gonna see. I think most Mercies were holding their ultimates too long, and now that we're seeing, you know, the 2-3 man reses. That's the difference.
I agree that this has brought about what I referred to yesterday as the tempo res, basically, but the 2-man res and stuff like that. But I don't like that, to be honest.
I like it.
It comes up to me.
I like it.
I just wish it was about twice as long of a cooldown. I still think it would be just as impactful. You get to res it really quickly if you're constantly doing your job and healing people up and providing boost damage. But right now, dude, it's like if you just sit there on a Reinhardt who's just taking damage constantly, you get that charge in like 20 seconds.
I don't think it's a problem because the worst thing that I think could happen with Mercy is that you end up just always going to these 6v6 battles and then you're just banking on the res. So you can't push unless you have res up. I don't want that to be the situation. Right now, because it's important and you can res so often, you're resing 2, 3, 1. It's a judgment call.
Sure.
It's
that's a valid point. No, I accept what you're saying there.
I don't want it to be like, if you don't have res, you can't push, and therefore you have to wait for res, and you're only going to go for 5-6 man reses.
However, I think this begs the question, and what we were talking about at dinner the other night was, we just need more supports, to be honest. Like, it's unfortunate that we're kind of shoehorned. You have to have a Mercy, because if you don't have a res available for Mercy, then you just can't make a push, ever. In any sort of circumstance, because you know you're going to be going into a 6v10 situation, possibly.
Yes, I agree. I think it can be changed, but I don't want to see it nerfed too much. Again, like a small tweak, sure. But a lot of people complain about it, but I see, from my standpoint, I don't want to get into the situation where it's 6v6 and you can't push and you have to wait. You're going for the 5-6 man. Yeah, it's quick. It's very quick. It's for sure quick. But I think as the game evolves, we're going to see a lot more of 2-3 man reses.
True, definitely. And we've seen evidence of that this weekend. I think it's been good. The best reses, to me, actually have been the ones where people recognize they instantly need to res one person to get them back in the fight right there. I think that's been cool.
Yes, that's the cool point. And I think we're going to see that more and more.
Sure.
And, you know, it's hard to tell. You know, not at the pro level. We obviously don't have the understanding that it takes sometimes that pro players have. Yeah. But from talking to them and the different things that I've seen, I think it's a problem. I think it can be nerfed.
And it's still... go through this with every competitive game, though, right? There's a completely different set of rules for what the pros are doing versus what us scrubs are doing, usually in pubs and stuff like that, you know? So we can analyze their meta, and it can be totally separate from the casual one, as it pretty clearly is, to be honest. Okay, so we are moving to Nambani, so let's talk about this matchup. This is, we said before that Cloud9 was doing really well at taking capture points.
I think they're gonna not experiment as much. As Cloud9, you're the confident team. You're the favorite team in this matchup. It's at this point you're saying, all right, we tried the Hanzo, we tried some funny stuff, but whenever we play consistent, we play like the old school, what we're used to. We play aggressive. We do our own thing. They're winning, and I think that's what they need to go back to their roots. I definitely think as a team after this tournament, they got to go back to the drawing board. Say, all right, what do we need to fix to play envious and whatever?
I agree with that,
But for right now, you're just like, I just get third place. Let's play consistent. It's good enough. Because you don't want the high variance. You don't want those variables in the matchup. You want to say, we are the better team on paper. That's what we're going to be in this game, and we're just going to stick to our school.
You expect any weird picks on Nambani here, though?
I think...
I could see another Mercy Symmetra on defense, possibly, rather than just straight up for the Lucio or something like that. I could see another, but like any big changes, I don't really know.
D.Va. I think D.Va, it's a low % chance, but because it's such a crappy character, I know you like her.
Oh,
and
she's the best hero in the game. I mean, so, you know, always needs to be
I could see
everywhere.
her, though. If she's going to be shown on a map, it's going to be here. Sometimes we see her when you need to, like, extend OT on, like, a final point, and she just pushes people off the payload. But all in all, I think we could see her. This would be the map that she is most likely to be used in a serious way.
I am surprised she's not used more in King of the Hill maps in pro play, to be totally honest. Just every once in a while. Her ult is game-changing in some of those little confined areas.
Have you ever looked at this? Can we get a shot of all the flights? It's funny because a lot of the offices for Blizzard
are on there.
Yeah, so and they're not good. They're not on time. We see Irvine there, delayed. We see Austin, canceled.
I like it. Unfortunately now, though, the San Francisco office just closed yesterday or something like that, or 2 days ago. though. So
that's why it's on time.
Yeah. Oh well. All right. What do we got for teams here? So on NG Red's side, we've got Wolf on McCree going to start things off, and I kind of like that. I think that's a good decision. We got Chance on a Reinhardt. We've got Bird on Soldier 76 yet again. Mangachu is going to play that Roadhog. Naptime is going to play Mercy. Brad Expert on Lucio on Cloud9 side. However, Kai is going to play that D.Va you were talking about.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
Yep. Devitt is going to play Winston. Grego on Lucio. Adam on Mercy again. Reaver on that Pharah. And Surefour going to bust out his Genji again.
So basically what Cloud9's going to do, they're using this comp. Look how much mobility they have. They have the Mercy, they can follow anybody. They have the Pharah can jump. The only person really on the ground no matter what is Grego, and it's Lucio who has a lot of mobility. They have so much mobility, they're going to go for the high ground. Yeah. They're going to get on the high ground if they need to, and you can see that that's very valuable. Northern Gaming set up over on the left side altogether a level above, and they could just dive them. Winston jumps in, D.Va dive in, Mercy follows, Genji's gonna hop up, Pharah's in the air. This is exactly what's gonna happen,
there
as
you go.
Can see.
And Kai gets knocked out of the mech right away and dies, unfortunately. Didn't pop the, I don't know why she didn't use her shield there. It was kind of weird, she died immediately.
Yes.
Trying to maybe do some damage in return. Adam actually ends up dying, so there's gonna be no possibility of res being built up in this fight. 2 people down for Cloud9. Naptime has fallen for NG Red though, but it looks like Cloud9's gonna fall, and they're gonna have to regroup.
Yeah, clean defense here from Northern Gaming. I think the biggest point that you brought up is the D.Va didn't use her shield, but to be honest, she's not supposed to take the majority of the initial damage.
No, she's not supposed to be the primary tank. I totally agree with you. It's just, I tend to, and maybe she was looking for a better use for it, but considering how much burst damage most pro teams can do, my initial inclination would be fly in shield just to give my team a half a second to establish yourself up there. Oh, that was your spray?
That was my spray.
Nice, I like it.
Did you see how idiotic it seemed? That is my thing. Oh, Surefour going to dive in here. He tries to get flashbang. He actually missed the flashbang. Surefour very slippery, doing a great job, and now we can see the power of that lineup coming in. Monkey 8 knocking people around, but hey, Northern Gaming, it's they're the only team getting kills right now.
I got to give a lot of credit here to Bird because
once again,
you know Mangachu's been he's been doing a good job with getting his hooks. We've talked about Mangachu a lot. We've talked about Bird putting out consistent damage. This time though, he's actually getting kills.
Yes.
He's straight up just massacring the other team. And what Bird's been doing especially well to me is that this is it. He always takes the best flank opportunity to give himself the best entry kill that he can get when he's trying to approach the team. It's working really well for him.
Yeah, look how positionally they're set up. They're flanking, hiding those DPS characters. They do not want to get jumped on. They want to appear after the engagement takes place. And look at the kills.
Yep, and he didn't do, there you go, kills Adam along the way too. That's going to mean that only Adam and Devitt are down, but that was plenty enough entry damage to do everything that he needed. Even though Naptime has fallen, it's just Kai versus a few members here from NG Red, and they're once again going to be able to push away Cloud9. About half of the attack time for this first point is gone.
And that is so crucial. On the defending side, knowing that if you can defend this first point going into the next map,
all you have to do is take that.
All you got to do is take the first point, and that is a very probable cause right now. They're even up in ultimate still. Northern Gaming doing a great job, and look how smartly they're playing the map. How they hide their DPSs. They only poke their heads out when the engagement already started. Looks like Surefour's going to get picked off here, and this is almost a complete reset already.
And Kai brings in Mangachu, who was on his whole hog, but Devitt actually ends up dying as well. He's taking too much damage to the rest of the team. There's the oops as he survives with about 10 hit points and walks away.
Oh my, and 2 minutes to go, 2-2-2.
I know.
It's 2-2. Whoever wins this will be getting 3rd place at this tournament, but at the same time, this is the story of the young pup coming up, fighting the old veteran dog, and Cloud9, they're getting shut down.
They really are. I mean, and this is, again, we're going to reiterate that Cloud9 has been on a bit of a downfall this week, but other teams are really stepping their game up, and this is prime example of that. Number 1, here comes High Noon. It only gets Kai, unfortunately, as Devitt comes in with his shield off to the side. Surefour using his ult to try and get in a little bit of damage here. Chance, Naptime, and Brad Expert have fallen, so 3 people down now. Cloud9 has lost Reaver, but we'll see if anyone else falls as Wolf is about to go down.
Yeah, Bird popped his ult, but the Reinhardt shield just completely taking this point. It looks like they are going to get it. I'm sure Cloud9 right now, you know, a little sigh just came out. They're like, okay, guys, we had a tough time on this first point. Let's pull together. We got it. All we got to do, we can complete the map, put the pressure on them. That's what you really want. You want to put the pressure on the other team. So if they can get a good time going into the rest of this, they can still do that. But right now, they had a tough time. Northern Gaming definitely feeling good about that first hole.
And they still have about 6 minutes left, so this is plenty of time to be able to push to push this to the end. I'm really going to be looking at, though, in my opinion, Surefour, because we're watching him right now. Whenever that Cloud9 has had a successful attack, it's usually been down to him, not necessarily off of an ult, but getting a key pick that allows him to occupy a huge portion of the map. We've talked constantly today about how Cloud9's strategy has been pick someone off and go 6v5. Surefour's been the one who's making that happen.
But look at how smartly they're doing this. They basically separate Bird. They say, you know what, Bird? You're watching the flanks. Watch out for Surefour. Get that kill. He needs the rest of his team to show up, because on the other hand, even though he won that duel, it's all red. Cloud9 won the team battle, and you can't do much more than that as Bird. You get a free pick basically, and your team loses the 5v5 battle.
Right.
You're gonna lose.
Once again, though, hats off to Grego for continuing to be a force throughout this entire fight. I can't say enough how good his Lucio has been throughout the entire tournament, consistent. I feel bad for him because I think that he has been the most consistent and strong part of Cloud9's team throughout the entire event here. And it's a shame because we haven't really been able to see his play just because he's Lucio. It just doesn't really work that way.
It's a very subtle thing.
Yeah.
But he's like consistently there, not getting picked, doing what he needs to do. It's a great job. They're going to get a breakdown here from the defending side as well as the attacking side. It's going to basically be a sloppy fight, but it looks like actually Northern Gaming said right here, right now, this is where we make our stop. We got 4.5 minutes to hold this. We're going to set it off at a good pace, but they're going to need a lot more of that before the day's going to end.
I actually thought with that Earth Shatter wasting about half the tack visor that maybe Cloud9 could find something to do there, but it doesn't look like they hit anyone else's. All of NG was just chasing Surefour upstairs.
Yeah, and that's a big part of that, but Surefour not really doing what he needs to do so far. And it's almost like, you know, we talk about Curry or LeBron on these basketball teams. Surefour is getting shut down, but they have to dedicate a lot to shut him down. His team needs to show up.
That's right. Reaver here was doing some pretty sick damage before, and it looks like he's going to get some pretty good damage there on Chance off to the side, who was down to just 1 hit point. He finally dies, and Cloud9 coming in with 6 people now to Northern Gaming's 4 at the moment. Adam does have a res available, and that was a one-man res on Reaver right there.
Surefour going to get the damage that he needs. Look at this. He's got 2 or 3 guys constantly patrolling, and they shut him down, and I think Northern Gaming are playing this beautifully. They know who have to shut down. As long as they can shut him down, they have a good chance at stopping this payload, but I don't know. Mangachu getting 2 kills. They're pushing this payload pretty far. It's so close. They got to get on it. They got to stop it.
The reason I was looking at Surefour was not just because I thought he would do well. It's because if he doesn't do well, as we're seeing, they don't have another option to grab a quick kill. They don't have another option to make a solid push, get someone out of the air, and keep moving on. Unfortunately, Kaikai's just, I mean, he's getting damage in. He's landing an occasional hook, but he's just dying at the beginning of fights. It's just not helping him.
Yeah, it's not helping. We see the Tracer switch. I think that was like a last-minute panic decision, but he actually stays on it. He's saying, you know what, oh, wow. Surefour, he was hide and seek over there, but it looks like Surefour is going to notice it, and that's huge, actually. This is going to be a 6v5 for a little bit. Mangachu's not going to be able to get up, and they're going to push the payload.
There was your 6v5. We talked about that Cloud9 excels with every time, and they're starting to move this forward. They're getting right to the end, just 5 meters away now. Wolf has to use his rewind there to get a little bit of health back. A pretty good Earth Shatter comes out and hits a couple of members there of Cloud9. Adam does not have an ult available. Yeah, and there you go. Pulse Bomb was there, and so let's see here. Adam is going to have that res momentarily. There's still 2 members of Cloud9 down. He uses it right away, gets Kaikai back into the fight. Nap time has already fallen. No one else down for Northern Gaming right at the moment. Wolf is looking very good with the Tracer, just continuing to do damage. Gets in a bunch of headshots there, but can't quite finish off McCree at first.
Yeah, Wolf doing a great job. Look how annoying he is. It's just consistent damage. He's not getting picked off at all. He hasn't died once in this team battle. Mercy actually getting some headshots. A little bit embarrassing, but he's going to pick off the bet. And now it's only Reaver and the Mercy Adam in the background, and Mercy's flying for her life, but they're going to clean this up. They just need to die at this point. I don't think they're going to be able to get it. Grego going to be on top of him, smacking him as much as he can, and Adam whipping out his pistol. And that was a good Wolf. The Tracer, I want to see more Tracer. That Tracer was putting in work that whole fight.
So they didn't end up losing a Reaper, though. Mangachu is now over as the Reaper at the moment. But I think Wolf has actually been playing, even though he had that really good play last time. In the short time I've seen him play Tracer, I think he's been playing a more efficient Tracer than Reaper.
Yeah, and it's just so annoying. It's such a mobile character that you really can't have your Mercy in the battles at all. Because if that Mercy is in the front line, the Tracer just, it's like a huge target. You just can get right on top of him, and you can't dedicate your whole team to killing that Tracer. Mangachu getting picked off again. he really needs to stop overextending. He keeps getting picked off, and this is how Cloud9 are getting the pushes that they need, the breathing room that they need. He's going to get a good stick here. Looks like KyKy's going to go down. This might be the X factor that we always talk about that they might need. He's going to get barely escape that stun, and you can just see Wolf with the consistent damage.
Uh-oh, and Naptime died just before he got his ulti. He was at 99% charge. So all 6 members are up for Cloud9 at the moment. They're going to push this in. This is going to be a round win just barely at the end with 40 seconds remaining. So what was almost a first attack point defense for NG Red ended up turning into a round win for Cloud9, but just like last time, it was a really long round, and NG Red has a chance to come back and take this.
Yeah, Bird really stepping up as the damage.
I agree. I totally agree.
Look at this. He pops out. The battle's already commenced. No one's on him. This Winston tries, but it's too little too late. He picks off the Mercy. Ignores the Winston. Winston jumps in his face. He says, you know what? That's not important. Kill that Mercy. Let's discontinue that res. 32 eliminations, 65 kill participation. And to be honest, I don't want to be that guy, but we have to point fault here at Mangachu. Twice in a row, those 2 final battles, he gets picked off away from his team. No reason to be out there. He's trying to do like a cheeky flank, which I agree. You need to flank. You need to set up those things. But if you get picked, you know, the spotlight's on you. It was clear cut. He was just overextending. He got found out, died, and then your team has to fight 6v6 or 6v5. First time they defended, you know, and it's like, okay, good job. You guys pulled it together. I messed up. But the second time, you know, you just what are you gonna do? You cannot do that.
And on defense, swapping the 3 DPS at the end can have its advantages. I think we were in agreement that Wolf was playing a good tracer, but maybe Mangachu should have been staying as Roadhog. Maybe we should have had a bit more beefiness in that team. You know, we can what if quite a bit. They were only about 20 seconds away from winning anyway. But it is going to be NG's opportunity to go on attack now, turn this around, and they have had a couple very good attack rounds in a row. And even though they gave up that match. Again, it was very close. Yeah. It was almost max time. Yes. They won the last game. Yes. They still got to be feeling good.
Yeah. We talk about pressure and who's going to have the pressure here. It's definitely more on Cloud9. Because on Northern Gaming side, it's basically close to we complete this map. It's almost like the similar point that we had on, what was the map? Where they barely finished.
Oh, yeah. It was just a second ago. Was it Kings? Or no, it was Hollywood, right? Yeah.
No, Kings Row. No, was it? Yeah, I think it was Kings Row. Kings Row was where one team completed an OT.
Oh, you mean at the very towards the beginning. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
Cloud9 barely completed.
Yeah, because Hollywood, it was the full defense. You're absolutely right. It was Kings Row.
And then Northern Gaming, they knew they basically had to complete the map, and they did it slightly before them. And this is the very similar setup. Cloud9 definitely choked, definitely had a tough time, and then they barely completed the map. And now Northern Gaming says, you know what? We can set a decent time. And I think this is going to be kind of the strategy going into this. We do see Grego on.
Grego's playing Torbjorn. He has been killing his Lucio. He spent 60% of that last match on fire, FYI, in their winning attempt. This is fine. I like Torbjorn on defense points. I think he's actually underused because of his ridiculous DPS, but it is kind of an interesting comp here. So much DPS, a little bit of self-sustain, but just the one dedicated support.
And a lot of times, this first point is so hard to take. They might be playing this mindset all or nothing. We either hold them here or they're probably just going to win the point. So they might be just putting all their eggs in one basket. It looks like they're going to take a cheeky path too. They're going to go this long pathway and they're going to wrap around. They want to get to that turret. Look how precisely they're not willing to take damage, and they want to fight on top of that turret. They want to take it out immediately.
I love it. I think that's a great idea. Looks like they're going after it right now. Reinhardt absorbing most of the shots.
He got pushed off. He got pushed off.
Yes, they did, as a matter of fact. And he's actually still alive at the moment, just standing on the point now for the time being. No one has died on either side quite yet. Both sides are trying to build up their ult, though, as both Naptime and Adam are stretching into about 60-70%. Chance finally dies as he was on the ground there for quite a while. Reaver doing a nice job of continuing to zone people out of the top back there. We'll see if he can get behind here and get a couple of quick picks.
Yeah, it looks like Northern Game is kind of falling apart here. They had a great strategy. Yeah. They had a great strategy, but Reaver really come out there. He didn't get a kill. He didn't do anything super special. Well, not on the scoreboard at least, but that push off, getting the Reinhardt away.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
As soon as that shield's dropped, that's where the turret can do the damage. So great kudos to Reaver. You know, you don't get the kills, but sometimes you don't need them. You can be a hero by just doing a simple motion like that.
My hero, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Cloud9, though, has a lot of ults ready for the next attack, too. Ooh. So Northern Gaming is going to have to really think about how they use this Earth Shatter that's just coming up for Chance at the moment. Because if they're a little aggressive with this, they're just going to get Molten Core to death. Well, here comes the tactical advisor from Bird, who actually dies immediately. KyKy also went down on the side of Cloud9. Brad Expert finally going down. There goes Naptime, too, so he's not going to have a res available. Northern Gaming Red is just melting at the moment. Cloud9, with that res, going to stay alive and successfully defend once again.
Now you got to start thinking Northern Gaming. You're like, we have to complete the point. We're struggling like Cloud9 did. How did they pull it together? How did they get this point? We had the same defense, you know, we held strong for so long and they barely got it at the end. We need to make sure that doesn't happen. Especially the one tick. The same thing. Cloud9 got one tick and then they could not complete until the end. Northern Gaming know they have to get this point. That's the most important thing. After that, they can make adjustments all they want, but they really need to focus up here.
And Bird already taking some huge damage as he tries to get onto the point. Everyone coming from the top right-hand corner. Chance gets knocked onto the low ground there. Shields about down. Kai
jumping in there. Look how much space he's creating. He's zoning 2 or 3 members constantly while Sureforce just consistent damage. Mangachu takes out the turret, but is it going to be enough? No, they're just, this is a great C9 defense thus far.
And you mentioned it perfectly. For those of you who are wondering, well, why did Winston just arbitrarily jump up there against a Reaper against 4 people? With the space that he created, all he wanted to do was shove people off to the right so they were exposed, as unfortunately Wolf coming in there and taking out some people, but then immediately having the Atom ult res them back up and pushing NG Fred back again.
Look how staggered they are. They got 2 people in the back. They got 3 people coming from the front. They're completely split, and this is not a good situation for them. He's way off the map. Where are you, man? You're in Africa. You need to get back on the point. No, Farrakhan. No. Yeah.
Oh, he's rocket boosting. He got it.
Okay.
He just rocket jumped back up to the top, so he got his left shift back off the cooldown. That was so fun. All right, so no, but for those of you who have been wondering why are we even talking so much about Winston, why he's so good, that last attack was a perfect example of that. Because in creating the space that Chris alluded to, he shoved 2 people off to the right, 2 people off to the left. All he had to do was occupy the 2 people to the left, while we had Sureforce off to the right.
Yes.
Just sit there and get completely uncontested damage. He almost 100%ed Mangachu. He did significant damage to Chance. He was completely uncontested, doing sustained damage the whole time.
And look at this Reinhardt shield. You got the Reinhardt. He's just sitting there trying to defend the team, but at the same time, he's getting spammed down by rockets. Look, Winston, same spot. Jumps up, drops a bubble. They're buying time. Chance gets knocked down. They're separated. Mangachu's doing damage. He gets 2 kills. Bird gets 1 himself, but they're in complete control. They have the high ground. They have the opportunity to do damage, but it does look like Bird's going to take him out, and this might be what they need. It's 50 seconds left, and Northern Gaming clean up. It looks like the same story unfolds once again. These teams mirroring each other back and forth. They get the point at the last second, and they gotta complete this map.
Okay, there were 3 sick-ass ults right there for NG. So the first one was actually the res from Naptime, but then immediately into the sound barrier from Bread Expert, and that completely absorbed the tactical visor, while Bird, sitting on the other high ground, then opted for his tactical visor and came back and got a triple kill. So
the play,
really smart stuff.
Highly strategical. And you won't see this, you know, in most of our games we won't see this, but at this level, this very high level, that is what you're going to see time and time again. And these players are thinking because they know they want that 3rd place, and it's right there. They have about 4 minutes to go, I want to say, in total time. Bastion actually coming out. This might be their ace card. Yeah, El Presidente once again on the payload. How are you going to stop him? That Reinhardt shield being so beefy, this Bastion dealing out damage, they can't even peek.
Exactly. This is an efficient way to... Oh, well, hello.
Coming through.
Yeah, they come around from the side there and grab a couple of kills, but unfortunately, it doesn't end up mattering that much because Cloud9's still around. Looks like we get in a bit of an ult from both of them. Rez is going up. Here comes Wolfen with his Genji ult, manages to pick up Adam, so Mercy's going to be down for the remainder of the fight. And Sureforce gets 2 more and even a 3rd with Grego finishing him off there. Really good defense from Cloud9 initially. Northern Red, though, still has a few members remaining to try and contest this and wait for the rest of their teams to catch up.
Bird getting double kill. Is he the only one on point? Looks like, yeah, there's 2. They got to stop it. It's right by the checkpoint. He's going to sacrifice his life. Reaver says, you know what? I hold here. My team will back me up. Grego getting on there as well, but they're going to Earth Shadow. They're just trying to cheese out time, and they're getting staggered, though. 3 men going down. The Reinhardt being ultra aggressive picks off Bird. They're wiped. They have, how much time is left? I think 2 or 3 minutes.
4 minutes.
4 minutes
okay, hold on. Yeah, when did they get it? I'm sorry, you're absolutely right, because there was a little bit of time. I think they got it with just like 30 or 40 seconds remaining, I think. So it's going to be really close to the end here. Yeah, about 3 minutes left. Okay, so now what we just saw there was actually a really good play from Cloud9, backed up by a really good play from Northern Gaming Red. 3 minutes remaining from right now. So once we get down to 42 seconds, that's where we're going to be at. But Northern Gaming Red came back masterfully there. Bird actually stayed alive with 1% health. 1%. Regathered himself, ulti, got back out there and did significant damage. Kai about to die here around the side. He does end up falling. So is Reaver. Adam does have an ult here. We'll see if he decides to use it on a 2-man, 3-man, 4-man.
Mangachu going huge. 4 kills there. Actually, Bird gonna hit his ult too. This could be it. Northern Gaming could solidify their place among the top dogs. They are fragging out of their mind. It's all red in the top right corner. Are they gonna do it? They're sprinting to the point. They have to touch it. I don't think they're gonna get it. Grego barely touches at the last second, but it might not be enough. Earthshatter coming down. It's the end. Northern Gaming do it. 3rd place, beating C9.
GG's. Northern Gaming defeats Cloud9, a team that we think is just as good as Luminosity.
Yes.
Like, what the hell? Why wasn't this team here for the semifinal match? They're playing on fire.
This has got to be the barrage at the end. After the res, during the res, he pops it, and he just lights up. Look at this. 1 kill, 2, 3, 4 kills.
And he gets that one, too, as well. Kai goes down again onto the side.